Hey everyone, your host Nick here, and you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. First, I want to remind you that we are a fully independent podcast, quite literally just a group of friends who have met once a week since 2008 to talk about video games. If you like our show, the best thing you can do for us is be active in our community. I recommend Discord. You can subscribe to our show, leave us a review on your preferred podcast service, or, if you're so inclined, bless us with your patronage on Patreon or Twitch. If you're new, all you need to know is this. We record these shows live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central on Twitch, and the audio version launches on all podcast services on Friday morning. Patreon and Twitch supporters will even get the show a day early on Thursdays. But if you want to know more about any of this, about what we do, or find all the important links you need, simply visit us at 4playernetwork.com. And that's it. This is the only ad you'll ever hear on this show. So, with that said, thank you for listening. Let's get started. All right. Okay, calm down.
No, what? That wasn't an insult. I'm saying that, that's what that is.
Nick wants to start this podcast so bad.
I do want to start this podcast so bad.
This kid
What's
was small
not
talking
true?
for minutes upon.
We all want things in life, though.
I don't think. First of all, this is the show. First of all, welcome. I don't think y'all grasp or understand the pressures of starting the show. Of what's the first word people are going to hear? What actually?
Okay, we started. I just don't think of Gene Wilder as Twee. You know,
I didn't
come
say
on.
Gene Wilder was
What?
Twee. I said
Who is
Paddington.
What is
was
Twee?
Shut the
Yeah, I
fuck
know.
up and let me explain myself. Paddington was Twee. I'm saying if you're taking Twee saccharine material and turning it into a good movie, this guy did that with Paddington. And Willy Wonka, at least the sort of aesthetic collection of stuff that is this Willy Wonka movie is got kind of a twee goofy tint to it. That wasn't an insult against anything.
I don't know what the kids are saying anymore.
I get what you're saying. I mean, if you're
Twee
adapting
is-
a Roald Dahl thing, it makes sense. I think of that original movie when I think of Willy Wonka, and that's kind of got a different.
Twee
vibe to
is
it.
a word that means excessively or affectedly quaint, pretty,
I know.
or sentimental. I'm not talking to you, Brad. I'm talking to Chris Davis, who
Is
an
a
old
man.
lost babe in the woods.
and me.
Old man. This word is very old. The reason why you don't know is because it's old-fashioned.
This is when we
Wait,
find out
wait.
Chris Davis has never seen Willy Wonka.
Oh, of course
Sorry,
I've fucking seen Willy Wonka. Are you kidding me?
But only the Johnny Depp one.
Are we talking? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
we are
Fuck
forgetting
you.
that.
No!
That's the thing. Chris Davis has never seen it. Nick prefers the Johnny Depp one.
Oh.
This is on brand for us.
Wait, well, there hasn't been a third
Crispy
Willy Wonka
hates
film,
whatever
so...
the fans think about it, and I just hate everybody.
I think it all checks
Last
out.
part adds up, yeah.
All right, let's start this freaking show. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 775. It's November 28th, 2023. I'm your host this evening, and we are joined for the first time in many months. Ed is back. Hello, Ed.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it may be since the beginning of the new year, because I don't think I've been on the show since.
You made it
last
almost
year.
an entire year without
I-
being on
yeah,
on
I
the
think
show
so.
itself.
Now, to be perfectly
No,
fair,
that's right.
I've had a busy year,
You
but
have.
we can talk about that after introductions.
Yeah, okay. We'll get to that in a second. You're right. Thank you. All right, let's stay on track here. Brad is also joining us tonight. Hello, Brad.
So
Crispy. Hello, Crispy.
What's up?
Oh man, Brad's already killed Crispy's enthusiasm.
No. I'm here. I'm here. Let's go.
I rely on you, Crispy, for your excitement and joy.
No, I'm
don't let-
excited.
Don't let Brad kill it. And Chris Davis, of course, is joining us as well.
Good
He's
evening.
He's got his creamer that he's drinking straight from a cup.
I had to empty the last of it out.
And we're here to talk about video games. It's been 2 weeks since our last show, because last week we got together. Last week was Thanksgiving, so a lot of people were traveling. But myself and Crispy and Nolan and Carlos played some Lethal Company on the stream last week. And let me tell you, we're not really gonna. I don't think we're gonna get into that game very much tonight. But I'll be honest, I want to play that game again because that was a lot of fun, and also comedy gold. I think.
Yeah, it was
um,
definitely one of those like late year
is
weirdo
that this
games that
year's?
you've.
Is that this year's like Among Us, or you know what I mean? Like I feel like every year
It
has at least
is.
one.
Among Us is weird though because
It's this
Among Us
year's
was around
Phasmophobia.
for.
There we
Yeah,
go. Maybe
it's Phasmo
Yeah.
because it hasn't it's hasn't yet exploded like Among Us did.
I don't know. I don't know. My wife is sending me Lethal Company clips and stuff on a daily basis, so you know, it's making the
but
rounds.
Among Us had like that weird collapse of the pandemic and like everyone being at home and stuff like that.
That's
So
true.
like
Exactly.
it exploded right at the moment where it got really mainstream really fast.
That is very
To
true.
the point where sus is still a common word that I hear teenagers say.
Yeah, it's
Just
part of-
teenagers.
It's just part of the vernacular now. It's
Yeah.
That's the future. All right. But yeah, let's real quick before we get too. I mean, we got a lot to talk about tonight because it has been 2 weeks. But I will of course want to catch up with Ed. You've been moving, so I'll let you tell you what have you been up to.
I mean, I've been all over the place. So we moved away from Austin back in April,
we
and
lost another one.
and promptly got on a plane to Europe, and so I spent 2 months in Europe with nothing but a backpack with a Switch inside of it.
That was all the backpack had in it. Was a
Yeah,
Switch?
that's it.
Didn't even take any extra underwear.
No,
my wife,
he was
my
raw
wife said
dogging
I
the
had-
entire trip.
That's not what that means. Uh, my wife said I had a choice between the Switch and the Steam Deck, and that only one of them could come to Europe. Now, May was, of course, when Zelda came out, so of course I chose the Steam Deck, but it did mean that I had to buy the digital version of Tears of the Kingdom,
That's true.
which is a
yeah.
little bit of a faux pas. I like to buy my Nintendo games physical because they maintain resale value. But I did buy it digitally, downloaded it in I guess it was an Airbnb or a hostel or something like that in the middle of Austria, and then played it for most of the rest of the time I was in Europe.
Traveled again, like your wife's
Yeah,
just
I
like,
mean,
I guess this is our life now. We're not leaving the hostel. Okay.
yeah, but
How was Zelda?
yeah, no, I mean, Zelda remains it is probably the best Zelda game ever made without a doubt. Before like Breath of the Wild I enjoyed for what it was, but Tears of the Kingdom like made it like locked itself in as a true Zelda game and a Zelda game that I really like. So the
I
highly
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. It's the best Zelda game ever made,
I agree.
and I don't want to hear y'all's dumb nostalgia bullshit.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey
Yeah,
now.
fuck Link to the
Continue,
Past.
Ed.
No, yeah. So on the other hand, when we got back, we had to buy a house. So that's where I'm coming to you from now. This is my office where I work from.
Nice.
It is so freshly not finished painted that the ladder is still here.
Nice.
So it's
Still
still getting
fumes?
things set up. Yeah, the fumes are very potent right now.
Getting a
This
little
conversation is going to
lightheaded.
become real
Yeah.
interesting in about 45 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Especially since I had the door closed with a blanket over the doors so they don't get as much echo. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy to be in a new place and have got a whole new setup here where I have a OLED monitor as my middle monitor now, so a curved monitor, and got a new TV upstairs. It's OLED too, so
You're
feeling good.
you're in the honeymoon period with your new setup.
Yeah, yeah.
That's always fun.
I mean, if I had to pick a game to with all the bombast to play on an OLED TV, Final Fantasy 16 seemed to be the one that won out, and has been a good choice so far, I think.
Okay. Okay. Maybe
Yeah.
I do want to know your opinions on Final Fantasy. In fact, I think we all do. How's Final Fantasy 16 going for you? That game has been surprisingly divisive, at least here, I
Yeah.
suppose. Maybe not. I actually, maybe not so divisive here on this show because I don't think any of us have been.
We're not divided.
Yeah, I guess we're not.
We
super
fucking
divided.
hate it, Ed.
Well, I
And
don't
you
know,
know
but
what? It sounds like everybody else fucking hates it too. We were just all blown away by the spectacle at first. So
No.
what do you think?
I mean, okay, so there's some valid criticisms of this game. Like I think the common ones are like the crafting system is almost non-existent. The side quests are kind of let's say like MMO kind of like where you have to kind of find the jewels in them for what is being shown. I find that the side quests like definitely emphasize parts of the world and do a little world building while they're doing it. So that kind of is nice. But the main storyline so far has actually been pretty interesting, and I'm like totally in it. I'm enjoying it so far. I just got past one of the big icon battles, the
You
like
could say
third
it.
one,
Yeah.
Bahamut. Yeah. So
It was a cool
like,
moment.
yeah, and like I know that there's like one that they're teasing that hasn't been revealed yet, so I'm looking forward to like that little twist or whatever if
I'm
it comes.
trying to remember what it. Like,
yeah.
having finished the game, I'm trying to remember what you're alluding to because I
I
think
mean,
you're
they
right.
say there's
You've
like
seen
there's
Odin.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Seen Odin. And then like Ramu has been shown, and Shiva has been shown, and Ifrit, and Phoenix, obviously. But there's one that they did not list in Titan, of course.
Okay, I have to say you have done the Titan fight already, haven't
No,
you?
they said there's 6, and they've only shown 5, plus
There
the
is,
extra one.
okay.
Yeah.
There is
I
one
mean,
that you think might
you've
be there,
seen
but
it.
then just isn't.
Leviathan.
Yeah.
That's the one that
Uh-oh.
I don't think I've seen
I don't.
per
Oh,
se.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Oh, I don't. You know,
Yeah,
I don't want to spoil anything.
That's
for
the
Ed.
part that I want to look forward to that moment. I
Haven't
guess,
you
let me
already
say.
seen the 6th one though?
I don't
Oh.
know. I don't
We're
remember.
getting into the
but-
nitty gritty.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But
you
anyway,
like it?
so yeah, I would go so far as to say I'm loving it, honestly. Like there's definitely
We're divided. We're
there's
officially
definitely
divided.
there's definitely moments where like you kind of get into a little bit of a lull, like especially like right after those big bombastic icon battles, you're like, oh, this is what I'm doing. I'm just running around from place to place, like
Yeah.
doing little tiny battles, and like that kind
That
of
might
sucks.
even
But
be the most like thing, the most thing you want to say about this game
yeah,
is it goes from like big crazy bombast to running errands for people. But
yeah, it's kind of like, and maybe this is like a little bit of MMO-ish too. But like the idea of like you have like this huge rising action and then a climax and then you have like a little bit of falling action before the completion. Like there's a lot of climax in this game where it's just like getting to the very, very, very peak of what it's trying to show, and then like all of a sudden it's just like nothing for a good number of hours.
Go
And
eat
then you
these
like, and then you like
flowers.
enter a new rising action. You're like, oh, I'm like into this. What's gonna happen? And they do like the I first like really saw it in the Zero anime or whatever, but like where like they like two people walk into a room and then they cut away right at the moment where you want to actually hear the conversation that they're having, and
Yeah.
like it was very common in Xenoblade as well, where like
It's supposed to keep you on the edge of your seat, but it just
Yeah,
kind of makes
exactly.
just kind of gets under your
and
skin.
like yeah, it's a little annoying, but at the same time you're like, okay, you're actually accomplishing what you're trying to do here. Like I'm still being led along by the bait there. So
Yeah.
I would say like Polygon has a little snippet in their like best games of the year that basically talks about how the bombast is like totally worth the experience here. And like I think the side quests, take it or leave it, rushing through the middle sections, take it or leave it, but like those icon battles are really, really cool.
They are really cool. I think honestly, at the end of the day, even though I found a lot of the side quests to be, quite honestly, I found them to be boring most of the time. But like the thing that got me more than anything about that game that disappointed me, I guess, would be the like you mentioned the crafting system, but it's more like it's an RPG, and a main aspect of most RPGs is being able to like choose how to equip your character, or choose what weapons to equip your character with, and swapping out armor and stuff. And if the fact that like all that stuff is kind of on a very linear path, and it's just like you play the story until it gives you the next strongest weapon, and that becomes your weapon for the next couple hours.
I mean, sure.
just
I would say like find, if you're looking for, I know you've like already finished the game, but if you're like looking for the RPG systems, it's in the abilities list.
Yeah.
Because you can swap those around once you like obtain more than one icon, like more than 2 icons or whatever. You can
Right.
switch between them. You can use your ability points to master certain abilities. So you can take some from that are supposed to be for Garuda and put it into like Ramu's like tree or whatever, and that kind of stuff allows like really cool mixing and matching
It
of
just
what you're
takes so
doing.
long to learn to master any of those things. I was like, I feel like I'm gonna spend half the game trying to master like 3 abilities, and then it's gonna be
Yeah.
over.
So what you need to be doing is resetting. If
Yeah.
you like aren't using abilities, then just like reset the points, get those back, and use them in other things, and like do that constantly so that
You're
you're
right.
like
I
you're kind
probably
of
didn't do that
switching
nearly didn't do that
because
nearly
like
enough.
yeah, and frankly, like the first like point before you do the upgrade, like the first point that you get is like so few number of ability points that it doesn't really matter. Just go ahead and wipe it all out. But like use your upgrade and your master like levels, like use those sparingly and like
Mm.
only use them on the ones that you're going to use a lot. And I mean, you can literally walk out of a battle and then switch to another set of abilities, like almost, I mean, not instantly, obviously, but like
Yeah.
you can reset everything at once and do that kind of stuff. So you get to do a lot of more experimentation in like, and it's not a like traditional tactical RPG or like turn-based RPG where you're like gearing out your characters or anything like that. But like, it's really more of, it is an action RPG where you're able to customize the way you play based off of the abilities that you get.
Yeah.
And
I
equip.
mean, and I would say at the end of the day, there's just not a lot that I think is very traditional about this game. So I feel like I
No.
spent a bunch of time playing it, and then but when it was finally over, I was like, if I were to like really take a look back at how I played this game, I probably played it wrong in a lot of ways. But it's either here or there. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So
Yeah,
you're
I mean,
you're getting pretty close, I think, to
yeah, I think I'm
No.
I think
the
I'm
end.
like
So
maybe 80% of the way through or something like that.
After Bahamut,
yeah, I think Bahamut. There's one more
there's a
major.
lot of game.
There is still a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
relatively speaking, there's a lot of game, but
Based on the number of missions that are left, I think I'm at like 70-ish%, I think.
yeah,
Um,
it starts to pick up. It gets to the point where it's like the pace is moving pretty quick. Like the next couple sittings, I will start to like get to the end game and wrapping it up, even though
Right.
there is technically a lot of game left, I suppose.
Yeah.
So what else have you been playing?
I mean, I'll just quick hit. I have been playing Talos Principle 2. I know you guys talked about it last week.
Yes.
But
Nobody else here played that.
Talos Principle 1 is in my top 10 games of all time. That you can go watch that video if you want to hear more about that. But I think that Talos Principle 2 definitely holds a torch to Talos Principle 1's genius.
You think it holds a
and
torch? You don't think it surpasses it with ease?
I am not far enough in to say
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
I'm at like
I'm
the
playing it
second
as well.
the
despite
second
what Nick
biome or
said.
whatever.
Oh, I forgot Brad is playing it. I apologize, Brad. I take
I
that
wasn't here
statement
last
back.
week. Dummy. No, but I do have a question about it.
Mhm.
So it is different. The vibe is different, right?
Yeah.
Because in the first game, everything seems a lot more mysterious. Here, there's just like fucking people talking to you, right?
Yeah.
It's a different vibe, and one of the best parts of the first game were I wasn't here when you talked about it, right?
I
No,
honestly
no.
can't remember who
I
It
it
was
was-
like
was-
2
no.
weeks ago, yeah.
I don't think you were.
I was
It was
gone.
the last show.
I wasn't here for the last show, right?
Has it been that? Dude,
Was I?
time
No, I wasn't
has
here
no
for
meaning
Game Night.
anymore. I have
I
no
don't know.
idea who
Maybe
was on
we
the
did
show.
talk about it.
You
Never
talked about
mind.
Yakuza last time. You were here.
You liked it, Ed?
the
Or
game.
you're liking it? You're liking
Yes, I'm liking it a lot. I mean, it gives me the same feelings that I got from, I mean, any of these first-person puzzlers where I'm like, going through the steps and like, you get those little light bulb moments and stuff like that. I think the new mechanics are cool. So far from what I've seen, the little like beam that you like, combine different lights into a different
Yeah.
color.
Dude,
Like,
it's
like-
how far are you? Because like
I'm in the second biome, so I just got the hole punch basically ability.
yeah, dude, they keep layering just like layer after
Yeah.
layer after layer.
I mean,
of this shit, and
that's how the first game was, right? Yeah, and
it just feels so much more open though, and like the fact
Yeah.
that there's so much dialogue and there's so many different characters and they're like
yeah, but see, I don't see those as necessarily inherently
I-
net positives. Like that stuff needs to pay off for me. Like there is a lot of like running around large spaces that I don't know if like I like the sense of scale, but also at the same time, I'm I'm still relatively early, and I just hope there's moments where I'm like, I feel like I'm doing things I'm not supposed to be doing. I feel
Mhm.
like the first game was really good at that, even though
Yeah,
the
I mean,
game
like
knew
with
that
with
that
like
they
this
wanted you to find that stuff. You know
with
what I
like the
mean?
Right.
stars you're talking about, like the like
Yes,
breaking out of the map and stuff like
exactly.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Here, I feel like I'm just sort of doing what the game wants me to do.
Well,
So
it's
I'm not
kind of
at that
like
point yet. I hope that I get to that point.
I
I
do
want
think
kind
to.
those
of
moments will come for you.
yeah, it's kind of reminiscent of like The Witness, where you like all of a sudden realize there's something else you could do in the game. Like the first game was like that too, where like all of a sudden you realized you could break out of bounds and you
Yeah.
could like unlock those stars and stuff like that.
Makes you look
And
at the whole
figuring
world a
that
little
out,
different.
like
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So like
want
I
to.
think there's stuff there.
I want
Go ahead,
to.
Chris.
I want to hear a little bit more though about what Brad was saying about like the vibe of the first game, right? Because that is a huge strength of that first game is that like it is really mysterious. It is like it. I mean, it's almost like kind of ethereal in its like
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I
Yes.
mean, like
loneliness, and then like yeah, this new one has like people walking around everywhere
well,
and like shit like that. Like
The
like
Dialogue
I want to
trees.
know. Yeah, like yeah. I just want
it's
to like
it's the difference between like the first game was like you had that big voice Elohim like speaking to you, right? And so that
right.
that added a level of like awe to what was happening. And then everything else was like a chat room, right? And like
yeah.
the mirror to this game isn't really there where like you're trying to solve a little bit of mystery, but like the chat room aspect of it is just like more like a social media like post thing. And so
And you actually
it's
meet
not
the people that are posting that are
yeah.
posting these things.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's not doesn't have the same air of mystery that the
I
first one
guess what
did
I'm
in that
saying is
aspect for
more
sure.
like am I getting like a bunch of lore in this game or am I getting more of that like
Well, here's the thing.
like
That first game, that sense of wonder or what's the word? I forgot what the word he used.
All
Awe is comes from the idea of like not really knowing anything about the world that you're in or your place
right.
in it, and in this game it's
Those
kind of
are
building off
all
of those answers are kind of those the answers to those kind of questions kind of come at the end of the first game, and now you're seeing the inevitable like outcome of what those revelations are, and
right.
now you're living in a community of people who are now wrestling with similar questions about themselves, like their role in society, in the world, and what it means to be alive, what it means to die, especially knowing that you're not like a person, quote, you know what I
right.
mean? So
Right.
it's dealing with a lot of the same themes and stuff. It's just being presented from multiple perspectives as opposed to the
Yeah,
first game where it's
it's
all one perspective.
and yeah, it
Uh,
definitely still like I think hits a lot of those philosophical
Yeah.
like notions that the first game did, but it's definitely like you said being presented to you differently,
And
which
you're dealing with the civilization of people now who have built a society and who know about the history of humankind or whatever, and our failings and how our race eventually died out, and now they're building back up, and they're like, are we making the same mistakes that they did, or are we doing things differently? And there's a lot of difference of opinion about that, and that's kind of like the crux of all of the dialogue and
it's a
the
little
philosophical questions that
yeah,
they're
it's like an
facing.
essay on like cautiousness, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have all the information in the world and that makes you too cautious, like does that actually set you back, right?
Yeah.
It actually
like
kind of it's kind of reminiscent of
existentialism
yeah,
of
it kind of reminds me a little bit of Horizon,
Mm.
in the opposite way, like that minor spoilers for the first game, but a guy makes a decision that basically sets humanity back to the Stone Age, and he did that purposely because he didn't want them to be weighted down by the decisions of the past, right?
Yeah.
So I
so
mean,
it's like yeah, like the first game is an exploration and existentialism of like the individual, the self, and the second game is existentialism of a
of
society.
the yeah, I think like that's the vibe I'm getting so far, and I'm so early that like I don't even know what it'll end up being. But
It goes places, and
yeah,
I'll say this: I'd never
Okay.
beat that first game completely, but I don't know, something about this one. I 100% of this game, and it kind of blew my mind. So
Hmm.
I would just say, keep going because it's.
Yeah, that ending of that first game definitely blew my mind. Like
I think I need to go back
understanding
and
what was kind of going
YouTube
around.
that. I don't think I even YouTubed the ending to the first game before playing 2, which I think is a strange decision on my part. I don't know why I didn't think about that. I need to go do that. Anyways, let's shift gears for a second. We'll come back to impressions here in a minute. Like, I know, Ed, you have other games that you've been playing too. So do we. But we usually start the show off with like Fantasy Critic talk, and I don't know how much there is to update
There's
here,
so
Brad.
much.
Okay,
Nick.
well that's why I was about to kind of pass the ball over to you, Brad.
Just because you're
It's-
checked out
I-
That's
doesn't
literally
mean.
what Brad says every single week. Is
I'm-
is there so much?
So it's okay. Some things have happened.
You gonna play
in
next year,
short,
Ed?
I'm in.
it comes down to me and Nolan at this point. Everybody else is out, and we know that.
Man, fuck you. Okay,
But
shut up. Rogue Trader could get 110.
Chris,
yeah.
I keep check at like every week or so. I keep checking the Warhammer Space Marine 2 release date just to see. Just
it's official.
Well, they
It's been
announced-
It's
released.
officially delayed.
has
Yeah,
been.
it's gone.
Yeah,
It
but
has been-
it's been
it was
2
counter
weeks.
picked. So we
Dude,
can't
I
go with
am so
it. We shouldn't get into that.
fucking pissed off.
Yeah,
You should be.
yeah.
I was.
So what has
posting
no one
through it.
picked up that ruins the game for you, Brad?
No. It's nothing to do with what Nolan picked up. Nolan did pick up. So Nolan still has. He had 3 empty spots last time we spoke about this. Now he has 2. He did pick up a game. He still has 2 more games to pick up, and he's running out of time. I encouraged him to honestly do it this week because once the game, there's stuff coming out in December, but with the Game Awards coming, anything coming out in December could be potentially shadow dropped. In which case, it would be too late to pick it up. And if I win, I definitely don't want it to be because Nolan couldn't fill all his spots. That would be fucked up. The thing is, if he does fill his spots, he is very close behind. He basically needs 31 points with 3 games to win. Because all my games are out, all my games have scores. But the game he picked up was the Dragon Quest Monsters game that's coming out
Yeah.
soon. Which, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna do crazy numbers or anything. But then he needs 2 more games, and getting 30 points or 32 points or whatever with 3 games is not hard. At least not with the way he's been doing. That shouldn't be too hard for him. So it's gonna be a squeaker, which is exciting, right? We have so many games on our lists and counter picks and everything. To think that it would actually come down to a really close first and second is kind of interesting.
I mean,
As
I
far
remember
as,
when you guys did it when he picked Zelda. Everyone was like, "Oh, game over. It's done." Or
Well,
whatever.
that's been the thing, right? Of course, Nolan was first pick, right? Because
Watch him get
anything
first pick
competitive we
again.
do, it's always Nolan kicking everybody's ass. And then he gets Zelda, of course, which is a 96, right? But then Baldur's Gate was a dream miracle for my list, right? Who would have thought it would have scored just as high as Zelda? And yeah, sure enough, it's probably those 2 games that are going to clinch it for us, depending on who wins. But, that's why the draft is so important.
That's
cool.
So we're getting really close to starting to it is almost December, which means, and also Fantasy Critic tweeted the other day that the drafts for 2024 are going to open in the first week of December. I think they said. So we're still gonna wait until first of the year, obviously, but it's getting close. We need to start thinking about what we are going to change and
rules and
that
stuff,
kind
of
of thing.
course, meetings.
Yeah.
We'll have.
I mean, I definitely want to play this year. I think sitting passively back watching you guys all talk about it, I'm excited to
Guys,
jump
this
in.
has
You're
been
saying you could have made better picks,
practice
Ed?
run.
Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I want to play. It sounds fun.
Yeah, he didn't
And-
make any picks, so he could make better picks than that.
Yeah, I want to make more than 0 points or negative infinity points or whatever.
Well, that could certainly be arranged. I'm looking forward to playing it next year. It's going to be really interesting because 2024 is not as, at least as it stands right now, doesn't have as many obvious choices right out of the gate. I
That's
mean, there are a
not-
lot of things.
All
to be
that tells me is that you have not been
Dude,
building.
I have a
your-
list of like 60 games coming out in the future.
Well, then what the
but
fuck are you
but
talking
only about 6 of them are confirmed for 2024. Like they could a lot of those could be
Aw, Nick is
2024
scared.
or beyond. No, I'm just saying, like when we were drafting for 2023, there was just like that's why like we did
It's-
6 players.
This is
with
a
8
stacked
picks
year
each.
for 100%.
Every year is a stacked year. We'll be fine.
I am going to push though for smaller draft, like
Less games in the first round?
picking 8 coming out of the gate, especially if Carlos plays too, because that means we'll have 7 people. And if we're all going to do 8 games out of the gate, I don't know. Chris Davis, you're muted.
I was gonna say, I mean, if we all pick like 8 games, like that means that we've pretty much taken care of most of the big games for the year.
Don't give Brad the
You daft motherfuckers.
I mean, we can't always have a new Mortal Kombat every year, Brad.
Oh, please.
The only thing that's actually going to make it hard for us is if y'all actually do the predictable thing that I think y'all are going to do and veto early access to 1.0 releases, which will make it harder because that is a lot of games in our industry.
Yeah.
I think,
which I still don't think we should do. I think we should still allow for that.
Yeah, what's the reasoning for that?
I think they're a little burned, honestly.
Wait, you think we
right?
are?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we've talked about it over the year, right? Like
Well,
y'all don't like y'all told me y'all don't feel good about.
Here's the
stuff
thing.
like
Here's
Dave
the thing.
the Diver or
Well,
Baldur's
no.
Gate,
Listen. I think a lot of the apprehension came early on when a lot of this was very theoretical. We were all playing this for the first time. And the base level assumption about picking early access games is that you have a certain amount of knowledge going into it about how people are how receptive people are being to a game. But we've obviously seen
there's just as much risk
times
with
now
that as any game that doesn't get released, right? I
like-
drafted Valheim, which I had to drop with my super drop, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
drafted Ultra Kill, which got counterpicked, which is not going to release. And that's 0 points for me. So that's
Listen,
just as much
I-
risk as
hang on. You know what?
anything.
Before we talk about if we're going to do early access to 1.0 games next year, I think I would like to see a definitive list of what games we're talking about that would fall into that category.
Oh, well, we can mention the ones that were done this year.
I mean for next year.
Yeah,
like if we're going to be
going
making
into the
a
draft.
decision about a set of games for next year, I want to see what those games are.
So he's saying we need to collect a list of all the games that we know are in early access that are draftable, that are on the table.
Thousands of games. It's just anything that's currently in early access
that we know is going to move to 1.0
that we
next
think is
year.
going to come out.
You
That's
can
the whole
literally-
point, that we think is coming out next year. 1.0.
I'm with Brad. I think the idea of an early access game is a known quantity, but it's not known necessarily when it's going to release.
But
whether it's going to hit well once it does, right? Like,
Yeah.
I just don't want to make a decision about a set of games that I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
Because I know you do. Like, I know you know more than I do.
But see, I think there should be rules and stuff that do reward people who are spending way too much time looking in this, like me or Nick,
no
right?
shit. Then
but
it's
Chris-
always gonna be like you and fucking Nolan at the top. Like,
Chris, I
But
think,
Nolan
like-
is not the person who's spending all day every day looking at the shit. It's people like me and Nick is in last place. So what are you talking about?
That hurt.
I'm just saying, I don't know. If you weigh this too much in the like, I have to be lizard brain like on the spectrum, fucking researching this shit all year, then I don't want to play.
Look, dude.
Like-
Okay, first of all, relax. Okay, 2 games won it for me and Nolan, and that's Baldur's Gate 296s. Okay, I'm not getting that much mileage. In fact, I probably got more screwed on early access this year if you don't count Baldur's Gate. I don't think like Nolan. I think he picked up a couple early access games. Right, he had the Death Doesn't Die or whatever that game's called. Or
Have a nice death.
what is that game? The one where he plays death.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Stuff like that, right? Like none of these games are like secret titans, right? I think the one exception was maybe Dave the Diver, but like I had been quietly following that one for a long time, and I was the whole time I was like, please don't notice this, please don't notice this, please don't notice this. And when I picked it up for like nothing, I was happy. Like, but that's thrilling, right? I feel like they should reward a little bit of research, otherwise we're just naming
I'm saying
popular
that-
games and seeing where
I'm
the dice
saying that-
fly. That doesn't feel like a game.
Listen to me. I'm saying that setting these rules is part of the gameplay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
And
all.
we're going to have those conversations. We're going to have a pre-2024 meeting
Well,
where people don't have to witness our conversations, and we'll. Or
I
maybe
want
we
to
can-
draft
maybe
Halls of Torment, Crispy.
Maybe people do want to hear us have these conversations.
And you know
Who the
what?
fuck knows?
Hades 2 is probably a first round pick if we allow it.
I think we should allow it. But anyways, let's.
Brad, you are a criminal and a coward if you don't draft Eden Chronicle.
What? Again, we don't play this game the same way, Chris Davis. I do not choose with my heart. I choose with my brain.
I choose with my penis.
If that ends up being like a 95, you will
I'm gonna have to
feel
say it.
so bad.
But see,
I
this is
let the winner
why
lead the way.
you're not going to win, because you think that game would be a 95, Chris Davis. What are you talking about?
Okay,
In no world does that come ever close,
Yeah,
anywhere
we need to
close to
move
a
on.
95.
let's
Even
shift
if
gears.
it's my game of the year.
We're shifting gears again.
All right, sorry.
I do. Okay, so we had a couple things happen today. We're trying to kind of shift away from too many news topics, but I think these are pretty relevant topics. So I want to kind of take the temperature on them a little bit, because not only did we get another look at Dragon's Dogma 2 today, it got a release date, which is now confirmed March 22nd of 2024, which is pretty exciting in and of itself.
Going right up against Princess Peach Showtime.
Yeah, I feel like March is getting pretty stacked already. Some stuff's gonna move, but who knows if and also don't forget, Capcom apparently has other heavy hitters that are supposed to hit in the first quarter of 2024, which makes me think, because the Game Awards is next week, I believe, right?
Is Vanillaware Capcom? Yeah, so the Vanillaware game comes out in the beginning of March too.
Wait, Vanillaware is Capcom?
Unicorn Overlord, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
That's the name of the game, but yeah. Yeah, so that
That's
game comes
The
out
Ogre Battle
on the 8th.
Oh, that game! I forgot about that one. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, Capcom has alluded multiple times to a AAA major release that they have not announced yet. It's supposed to come out first quarter of 2024, which has a lot of people suspecting maybe that new Monster Hunter, like Monster Hunter World 2, might be announced and drop in February or March or something.
If that's not at the Game Awards, I can't imagine it really is.
Like, that seems really realistic to me, because
Oh,
They
I
haven't shown
think
it at
next
all.
year is a good guess, for
Monster
sure.
Hunter World
But like
came
the
out in
talk about
January,
it being
didn't it?
early next year. What?
Didn't Monster Hunter World, the first one, come out in
Yes.
January?
It did, but
Yeah,
but
but
they
it's
had
fucking, like,
promotional
December.
material before it. Yeah,
Right.
they had
Yeah, they
promotional
announced it
material
at
before it,
E3
right?
the year before.
Yeah, exactly.
that's
So
true.
I think a 24 release date is likely, but I think it's more likely that they'll have some kind of showcase or they'll show it at Game Awards and the release date will be in the summer.
Yeah, I
or
just can't.
fall.
But I just can't imagine what else they might be alluding to. I know we're getting away from Dragon's Dogma, but they have explicitly said they have a secret AAA major release lined up for Q1 2024.
Did they say AAA or did they say something that's going to make a lot of money? I feel like I
somebody-
remember it being something that's going to make a lot
And
of
did they
money.
say that like today? Like
No, they
is-
said this a couple
No,
months ago.
long
is
time
Dragon's
ago.
Dogma considered that?
this was
Surely
probably
their
not, right?
expectations for that game are not that
What
high.
are the odds
Right.
on it being an original IP or new adaptation?
I mean, it could be a fucking
No.
mobile game, right? I mean, mobile games make crazy money in Japan.
It could
I
be.
mean, who knows?
Yeah, but-
when they
but it
first were
feels
mentioning I
right.
thought they were talking about Monster Hunter Now.
It
The
feels
Niantic
like it's
Monster
time
Hunter.
to announce Monster Hunter World 2.
No, 100%. If I'll be sad if it's not at the Game Awards, but we're in this awkward period where Dragon's Dogma 2 is probably something they want to like keep on the forefront. And
They don't want to
if I were
overshadow their own
Capcom, I
game.
would not release
Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma 2 anywhere near a Monster Hunter game.
They
That's true,
can't
that's
they can't
true.
put Monster Hunter up up at the front of the year for sure.
There's
That's
a little too
absurd.
much DNA there, I think, to put them
Yeah.
up
So
against each other.
I don't know what they're thinking, but I really don't think it's Monster Hunter in the first quarter, which
And it's
that
not Resident
sounds
Evil
absurd.
9. That's way too early for Resident Evil 9.
So I think it could be what's more realistic for a short turnaround that makes sense of like, oh yeah, that is going to make a shit ton of money, would be like a surprisingly
Resident
soon
Evil.
like Resident Evil release or Resident Evil remake release or something.
What if they do Resident Evil Code Veronica remake and it's coming out
So
in
that's
January?
that's the thing, right? Like think about how surprising it was when 3 got announced. It was like really close after 2 came out, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was
You know,
about like 10
it
months.
seemed
Yeah.
like they were almost annual releases at some point. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if it might be something like that.
I mean, yeah, but with Resident Evil 2 and 3, like those you reused a shit ton of assets and they were developed
Sure.
in parallel. So like,
And they sold really well, like extremely well in case
I
of
mean,
2.
I think Brad's right. We have a much higher chance of seeing like another Resident Evil remake come out than Resident Evil. Like
Monster
Resident
Hunter's
Evil
coming.
9.
Don't be wrong. Don't get me wrong. Monster Hunter's coming.
But
It is
Yeah.
going to be huge.
announcement
to
at
say
Game
it's
Awards
coming
with a
in
summer
March is
release date,
absurd.
like Ed said, does sound pretty realistic. The more I think
Didn't
about it.
Rise come out in the summer?
Yeah, I think it came out in like June or July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe
So,
I'm
like
explicit-
I mean,
I
Rise
could
sold
see,
pretty
but we knew about
sold
Rise.
pretty
We
well.
knew about Rise. It's weird. I hope
Yeah.
I hope it is at the Game Awards for sure. Obviously.
So let's talk a little bit about
what are we talking
Dragon's
about?
Dogma 2. So we got to look at it today, and I know Crispy, you said you watched the whole thing. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing. I watched the trailer, and I saw that we have a release date, which is great.
I
Exciting
listened
news.
to it while I was driving, and I glanced down at stuff.
I'm the only one that watched.
No, I did watch.
Oh, okay.
He was
but
just
it was-
distracted while he did. So what's the temperature here? Like, how are people feeling? I mean, I know within our community, obviously, people are very excited about Dragon's Dogma
Do you
2.
like Shadow of the Colossus?
Yes.
Dude,
Yeah.
you do
that-
climb in Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah.
And now you're climbing
That
large
like the
monsters.
the big set piece of the presentation is like this humanoid monster called the Talos coming up out of the ocean, and like it looks like one of those like set piece story moments from Monster Hunter World, like where
Yeah,
you're on
definitely
like a
set piece
giant
moment.
monster and you're like running around finding the hit points, like the weak points, and breaking them, except you're climbing on this one like Shadow of the Colossus, and yeah, it's got these like red crystals all over it, and you're like climbing over to the
Was
crystals.
this shown
and,
off in like a
breaking them.
gameplay demo, or was
Yeah,
this
it's a
part of the
gameplay
tra-
demo. It's a
Okay.
game. It's all gameplay.
Nick, did you just watch the trailer?
I only had a chance to watch the trailer.
This
which
is
was
where I
very
rant about how
story-focused.
their trailers have been bad because every single one is like a story trailer for some
Yeah.
reason. And I feel like if you're trying to show off your game and the cool parts of it, which I'm sure there is, and they've shown that in longer presentations, make a really cool, sick gameplay trailer and like forget the fucking story, dude. There's just so much talking and like cutscenes, and it's like no one cares about any of this yet.
Yeah.
It might not even be that good. It wasn't that good in the first game.
doesn't even
so
seem
why is
like-
every
yeah.
trailer like this? Make it cool. Make it like a FromSoft trailer, and like where it's like just got vibes and gameplay, and that's all we need.
Yeah.
I
They haven't done
agree. I agree.
Yeah, but I mean, the gameplay looks pretty
You're right.
sick. It
There's a
looks
So-
smoke
good.
lancer or whatever.
I heard some people
It's
talking
called
about
the Trickster.
Yeah.
Ooh. And what does that do?
It's the new vocation. It's called Trickster. They use a new weapon type called the Censure, which is like one of those swinging incense burners that they use
Mhm.
like in Catholic Mass. And their whole thing is that they like spin it around and they conjure illusions out of the smoke. And they
It
show
looks
them.
cool.
It looks kind of cool. It's a weird concept. I don't really understand
They're almost like a they're almost
conceptually
like
where
a,
it's coming from, but
like a bard, or like they're about
Like
like
it's
kind
these-
of helping
crowd
the
control?
team and
It's
buffing
like-
the
Is it-
pawns and
they're called
Is it
a
like crowd-
trickster, but it's
Yeah.
like an illusionist. And yeah, their whole
Right.
thing is that they're not a frontliner. Like they're either summoning effects that are attacking for them or they're buffing their pawns. So like they're
Right.
very much like kind of a backline battlefield
So,
control.
a little
kind of
bit CC, a little bit like summoner kind of, where you're like
Yeah.
doing a lot of
Yeah.
like
Or even like
a bard, right?
I think one of the abilities they summon is like they put up like this giant like smoke wall or something for a minute. Like
Right.
it's a very like it's very hands off, like maybe even in a way that like Archmage and like the regular mage weren't. But I mean those I guess those were like kind of glass cannon builds.
It's
But
the kind of class that I want to have as one of my pawns because
So you can just
it looks
benefit from
fucking
the.
oh
cool,
no,
but I
you
don't want to
can't.
do it
You
myself.
can't. You can't. It is a player only class.
Ooh,
I thought I
Is
heard
what-
that.
no,
that
they
they're-
said-
they let.
it's all or nothing then.
They said it's the only class that only a player can be. Because the whole point of the class, and like this is kind of the wrinkle, is that like really the strength of the class is in like using your pawns.
Right.
So like it's all about like buffing pawns and like doing shit to your pawns. So that's why it can only be played by a player.
That is actually pretty cool. Like if you think about it from like an approach to combat perspective, like
I think they specifically say it's a risen only vocation.
if the intent there, because like the pawns were kind of like a neat idea that depending on how you played may not have felt like they were fully realized in that first game. And I'm wondering if this is like kind
They're-
of forcing the player, like if you choose this class, it's like this is the class that's going to kind of force you to use pawns effectively and
A
like
lot
not
of-
just make them an afterthought.
A lot of what's going on in the trailer, both like mechanically with this new vocation and with the story, is about the pawns. Because like the whole story is that essentially this one kingdom props up a fake arisen, and all the pawns like start following this like false arisen, and it's kind of about control of the pawns is like the whole story. But there's like multiple kingdoms now. There's like different races and shit now. One of the new mechanical things they showed is like, yeah, you go to there's like an elf city that you go to that's inhabited by elves, and unless you have a pawn with you who can translate Elvish, you can't understand anybody. Like,
Oh, that's kind of cool.
yeah.
That's pretty alright.
Like,
So like there's a new trait, like they have all these new traits now for pawns, and one of them is like something linguist, like I don't know. But yeah, it'll like make it so that like all the so like if you talk to an elf, they're talking in their native language and they put Elvish script as the subtitles, but if you have a pawn with you that can translate, it turns to English. But they still talk in Elvish.
I'm hoping that like pawn, like they've come up with a lot of cool ideas like that to kind of make pawns feel like a integrated important part of the world, because they were a neat idea in the first one, but I don't think it ever fully clicked with me because I don't think they felt as important or integral to the world even
It
the
seemed
gameplay, I
the
guess.
idea that something like that existed in the world seemed like a bigger deal than the first game was making it out to be, because they didn't really engage with it that much in the lore, like in the story.
I mean,
But
if they're going to do that, I really hope that they incorporate like a balance to that, like Albed and how you would learn that in Final Fantasy X.
Oh wow, that's a throwback. But that, but that was like a mini game in and of itself, was tracking down the translations. Like I like the idea of like pawns being people and pawns having different.
But at the same time, like locking content out just because you don't have a very specific pawn trait, like
you're looking at it from a glass half empty kind of perspective.
If you watch the thing too, it's like when it looks like when you first get to the elf city, they give you an elf pawn. Like you meet this NPC who's like I will translate for you as long as I'm with you. Like who like you go in and talk to like the major I really think like you're kind of blowing the whole thing out of proportion.
I like the voice
I don't think it's
acting
going to be
in
that
this.
big a deal.
I like the voice acting in this. It's
There's voice acting.
I feel like I don't hear Brad say that very often.
he doesn't.
Pretty good.
Everyone
well, because
yeah.
when it's good, you don't think about
Fair.
it as much. But here it's like so fancy and fantasy and British, but like in a super fantasy way.
Everyone talks like Urianger from Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
Whoever the fuck that is.
Yeah.
Quick question. I know it's too. I mean, I don't know if we have any like real way of. This is more of just kind of a feeling. Is this to y'all? Is this like? Does this feel like a PC game, or does this feel like a PlayStation? I know this is random. I'm trying to make decisions as early as possible about whether I'm going to play it on PC or I'm going to play it on console. I'm just wondering. Anybody have any opinions on this?
I don't have an opinion on this because I think even if you're playing it on PC, you should probably just go ahead and use a controller. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What's more
I don't know.
powerful? What do you have that's more powerful?
I guess my PC. I
It's
don't
a-
fucking
So
know.
play it
But
on-
but my TV is nicer than my monitor. Is the thing.
weird.
It's you know what I mean? Like
I
I have like a 4K TV, like OLED TV, and I have a 2K.
So play it on that.
I don't know if this is true. You guys probably do, but I read that this is also Capcom's first $70 release.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
yeah. I mean,
It's kind of
checks out.
surprising it
Seems
hasn't
like
happened
a-
until now.
So
Yeah, I'm surprised.
so we're there.
It won't be the last.
So
Yeah.
Capcom's on that $70 bullshit now.
Yep. I mean, that's inevitable. Everybody's gonna be on the $70 bullshit. It fucking sucks, but that's just the fact of the matter. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to quickly mention was the Fallout stuff because I keep forgetting this project existed, but Amazon was working on this Fallout TV show, right? And we now live in a post The Last of Us HBO world, and this is kind of like the first major video game adaptation post that show, being done by Amazon, and they released screenshots for it today. So we kind of got our first look at like the stars of the show and like kind of the vibe and the cinematography and what it looks like. Obviously, there's no trailer for it yet. I just wanted to kind of see where y'all are on this, or are y'all excited about this? Does this look good to y'all? Are y'all
I haven't even
super
looked at it.
skeptical?
It
Okay,
looks.
so-
No.
I looked at it.
To be
Uh,
honest, the first look to me reminded me just for a second of the Halo series, not The Last of Us, which is
It-
a bad thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I never watched the Halo series. I feel like the problem people have with the Halo series has way more to do with the writing than like the
Yeah, I mean they went off
right?
they went off the rails with it.
They went off the
basically.
rails and they started, they turned Master Chief into like a person with like a face and you know what I mean?
don't know.
Which I think a lot of people take issue with.
But sorry, Crispy, I interrupted you.
No,
you
I
were saying
was
something.
just gonna say that I don't even think Fallout does a great job of like a consistent tone. So it's like purely an aesthetic. And yeah, they've got someone in a vault jumpsuit, and they've got Brotherhood of Steel fucking power armor walking around. So yeah, it looks like every like fan film of fucking Fallout you've ever seen. Because it's Fallout, like whatever. I think it could be cool. Like it actually does look kind of cool. I think it does. Walt Goggins is in it
Walton Goggins as a ghoul.
as a ghoul, but he doesn't look ugly enough. He needs to be grosser. He just looks like a dude without a nose. Ugh.
Yeah,
He looks
I
like
think
what's his
Walt
face from
Goggins
Captain
looks
America.
creepier. I think he looks creepier without the makeup than he does with the makeup. Like
that's funny.
they need to mess him up a little more. I don't know. It's hard for me to be excited about Fallout anymore. Just because of Bethesda. Like Todd Howard is my Neil Druckmann, so like I can be excited about a Fallout show coming out, but the idea that like I'm gonna have to hear Todd Howard fucking talk about it,
Wait,
withers my soul.
I guess we're gonna have to hear him talk about
Yeah,
it.
because the fucking preview was a Vanity Fair article where
Yeah.
they fucking interview him. Like,
I mean, I suppose that's fair. That's inevitable, I suppose.
I guess it's kind of nice. I'm looking at the article now. I guess it's kind of nice that at least the power armor it looks like practical and not CG'd.
Oh yeah.
whatever. It's like, okay, they hit a fucking aesthetic note that cosplayers figured out decades ago, like.
But now they have to do it practically in such a way that
Is the story any good? I was kind of hoping for like a trailer or something.
Oh, I'm
Is
sure the trailer's
story
coming.
and the
Yeah, it's
acting
coming,
any
right?
good?
Oh, they will
Like,
have that at the Game Awards. Guaranteed that's at the fucking
There's
Game
not
Awards.
a lot to
Good point.
talk about until you see it like in motion.
That's true. And it seems like it's like Fallout is one of those franchises that I do really like Fallout in theory. And I like a few of those games. No, I mean I do. I like Fallout. I like Bethesda games. I said this earlier this week, and I know I'm probably gonna get lots of flack. I am one of those few people that's playing Starfield right now and loving it. and I feel like I'm having more fun with Starfield than I've had with most Bethesda games.
That's
Um,
wild.
But I think it's because maybe I just don't.
But see,
I mean-
Nick notoriously loves fast travel.
Yeah, sure. He's a fast travel kind of guy. This is fast travel the game.
I know it
You
is.
like
Loves
fast
menus.
travel.
He loves menus.
Okay.
Maybe this is what finally gets Nick to like fast travel.
No, it's
He's
definitely
like,
not.
he's like,
Here's-
oh wait, no, my time is way more valuable than this. Maybe I should
No,
fast travel.
let me just. I mean, I feel like we could probably go down a rabbit hole here and have like a huge long conversation / debate about Starfield and the fast travel and
Yeah,
stuff.
this is actually an intervention, Nick. We brought Ed in here. We wanted to let you
We're not
know
even
you
recording.
actually
This is
hate
a safe
Starfield, and we
space.
want you to admit it to the room.
No, I mean like I am enjoying Starfield a lot, but I am not enjoying Starfield the same way that I'm like for the same reasons that I say I love Red Dead Redemption. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like I'm enjoying this not as an open world game as much as I'm just enjoying it as kind of like a universe and just I don't know. I don't want to go. I don't want to go down the fucking Starfield rabbit hole because I know I'm in the minority here. And I'm not even saying it's my favorite it's my favorite Bethesda game. I think Skyrim is obviously still kind of like the peak Bethesda experience, but as it ties into like the Fallout
Wrong
TV series,
answer.
I do think it's an interesting choice. It's like one of the, it's almost, I mean, it's not as perplexing as the decision to adapt Twisted Metal into a TV series, but it's
yeah.
almost as silly.
No,
No, it's not. No,
No way.
Come on. Like
No
Fallout
way,
is
Nick.
Fallout is a post-apocalyptic like story, right? Like it has a good.
It has
at least,
Q
like,
factor. Like
Yeah.
Twisted Metal
has
is a
swell with
super
audiences.
dead franchise and a super dead genre.
Okay, think of it this way. This is just my opinion, but like if you have like a scale, like a sliding scale, right? And on one end of that scale you have Twisted Metal, and on the other end of that scale you have The Last of Us. I think Fallout is probably closer to the Twisted Metal side.
No,
You're
dude,
insane.
hang on, Nick.
I don't even know what that
Nick,
means.
I'm gonna do one better and say that like a Fallout TV series, like just in the general scheme of the world, like if you were to be like, oh, they're gonna make a Fallout TV series, that makes way more sense than making a Last of Us TV series.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, absolutely. Because a Last of Us TV series actually doesn't make that much sense because The Last of Us is a story-based game and they told its fucking story. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like
That's
a
a
world to
was,
play
like,
around and
underrated
like
to overrated.
yeah, like I mean,
There's so many different ways you can look at this.
I'm
I
not
suppose.
saying that the Last of Us TV show is bad. I'm just saying
I
that
didn't
like
say that. I just,
as a concept doesn't make as much sense like from a point of view where like I know that studios adapt popular works because they want to make money. Like Fallout makes so much sense.
You can yeah,
Fans have been putting out Fallout fan films on YouTube and shit for years now.
it's not like you have to follow the story of Fallout 3 in order to make this successful,
that's
right?
fair.
That's just the kind of fucking franchise it is. It's like Last of Us is like, yeah, I don't know. Last of Us is different.
Let me just say, I guess, just to kind of maybe defend my stance just a little bit. I think more what I'm trying to say is that like I've never thought of Bethesda stories as being all that great. So I'm questioning kind of like the storytelling potential in general.
No.
Well-
See, you got it backwards. Like you've got it
Yeah.
upside down, Nick. Like Bethesda's storytelling isn't that great, but they've built like a world where
Right.
someone who can tell a story can come in, make up their own characters, set it somewhere else,
Yeah,
and
that's
like
fair.
make a good story, which is what they're doing.
And they
Last
have
of Us is like
really
you've
cool,
got
like,
a
cycles
very
and-
specific set of characters that everyone knows and loves and has a very specific tone and a very specific story. You can't fuck with that much. You know what I mean? Like
That is why people hated the Halo series. they
Yeah.
they fucked with the
Well,
story too much.
I would say like Halo even is a little, but yeah, like but you get what I'm saying, Nick. Like Fallout
Yeah,
makes so
okay.
much sense as an adaptation because you can kind of just do whatever because it doesn't fucking
Yeah.
matter. Like
Such as
That's
those
fair.
games are.
All right,
Lots
that's
and
fair.
lots of whatever.
That is fair. Okay, we are going to take a break real quick because we're coming up on an hour, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about more video games, including Persona 5 Tactica, a little bit of Cyberpunk 2077. I know Ed's got a couple more games that he's been playing in his time traveling the world, so we'll catch up on these things when we come back. So if you're watching us live or listening at home, Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, let's get the show on the road. Welcome back, everybody. We got more video games to talk about, and I'm going to actually let Brad start this segment off because his game is actually new, quite a bit newer than mine. Persona 5 Tactica. You've been playing that.
Yeah, Persona 5 Tactica. So it's a new
like
Persona 5 spinoff. And I'm coming this from a perspective, from the perspective of someone who played very little Persona 5, never finished Persona 4, never finished Persona 3. Honestly, I've never finished a Shin Megami Tensei game in my life because I kind of don't love the series.
I mean, they're all consuming.
I own and started so many of them, you would not believe. And I like aspects of them, obviously. Persona is very like flashy and stylish, and there's so many things to love about it. But when it comes down to, you know, like the gameplay and stuff and the fusion system and the itemization, I'm like, this is just not the thing that scratches my kind of itches. But whatever. We're not here to talk about those games. We're talking about this one. And the reason I played this one is one, it was on Game Pass, which, hey, good Game Pass pickup. And two, I like tactics games. I like strategy games. I like strategy RPGs. I like tactics games. And for me, I was like, well, I definitely don't want to like doing 100 hours of Persona 5's combat, but like I'll do like 30 hours of like a cool take on Mario vs. Rabbids, but with the Persona aesthetic, which is what this game is. It's like a Mario vs. Rabbids game.
I did not realize it was like a Mario vs. Rabbids style game.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it is very much like that. It is XCOM light, but with the Persona skin, right? And it is chibi, but like, and a lot of people are upset about that. And a lot of people are upset that it's a Persona 5 spinoff, and there's been so many of those, and they just want Persona 6, and this might not even be canon, and my waifus look a little strange because they're chibi. But like the chibi art is actually pretty good. Like one of the reasons I was like, I definitely want to play that is because I knew that since it was a Persona, even as a spinoff, that like the production values were going to be I mean, I know it's still going to be a lot more budget compared to like a regular Persona game. Obviously, this honestly has big like handheld game energy. Like if the 3DS was still out, this would have been a 3DS game. You know what I mean? You know how Switch games have like console games and kind of handheldy games. This is definitely in the column of handheldy, which is fine. But I knew because it was Persona, it was going to be like the genre is not often very like flashy or even pretty a lot of the times, you know. They're all often very like static grid squares, you know, like it's not, they don't usually get even this level of production value. So I was like, okay, I can play something like Mario Rabbids in the Persona universe because I knew the music's going to be cool and I knew the menus are going to be cool, and they are. and they are. And they are. so it's a lot of like conversations with your characters from the Persona 5 game. And I'm not really too familiar with these characters, but you know, they have cool outfits, and there's lots of ladies to like, I guess, want to be my waifu or whatever these people do. Now, you're not actually like building social links with these people. It's mostly just, you know, storytelling in between battles, right? Like it's a pretty linear game. There are side quests. There are side battles you can do that are more puzzle like, which is cool to get like extra like skill points for like each of the characters' skill trees, which is cool. But it's mostly just story and conversation. But like the presentation is pretty good. I mean, like I like the art. A lot of it, most of it, I'd say, is voice acted. And the performances are good. They have all the actors from the original game. And then you get into combat, and this is the meat and potatoes, of course. It is a lot like even that second Mario vs. Rabbids game, where you have a lot of freedom of movement as you control your character between choosing before you choose the actions you want to do during that turn. So much so that it almost feels like cheating, kind of like in that the second Mario vs. Rabbids game, where it's like, you're telling me I can run way over here to like help trigger this other thing with this other character, and then when I switch back to this character, I can like run all the way back over here and jump up 8 ladders and like trigger something else, and which is kind of cool. What I like about this game, and like I want to be clear, I don't like Persona combat. It's all about like it's a pretty basic like figure out the weakness of the enemy, trigger that weakness with one of your Persona spells, and then you get the one more action which triggers the move where everybody the all out attack, right?
I feel
I
like
mean, y'all played
Persona just
Persona games.
as like a RPG franchise is remained at its core pretty traditional and pretty
Yeah.
pretty
It's
what do you call
it's
it?
very traditional, but super flashy, right?
Yeah.
And people only care about
Right.
the story anyway, so who gives a shit, right? But so this is sort of adapts that in like pretty interesting ways. The all-out attack becomes this whole like positioning system where you're trying to get your 3 characters into position to trigger these all-out attacks by like literally triangulating around enemies or groups of enemies. And when you pull that off, it feels really neat. And it becomes less about I got to kill this enemy to like minimize the threat, and more about how do I take out this entire battlefield in one all-out attack. And like puzzling through that is kind of what makes the gameplay interesting in this, because it's all about sort of like taking advantage of like admittedly very like kind of weird and unique mechanics to trigger these big moments. So it almost feels like every battle is like one where it's almost like a puzzle where you're really thinking about it. Almost think of like an Into the Breach or something, where you're just kind of staring at it going, how am I going to do this? Like, I know there's like a perfect way to do this. How do I pull this off? By the way, in the battle that you might be watching, I do
Yeah,
very
yeah.
poorly. I'm playing this on Merciless, which is even harder than hard.
Why you went with
I heard that this game is a little easy, and I like tactics games, so I'm like, well, I'm going to play on the hardest difficulty available. And honestly, it's not been too difficult, but I do get kind of I'm just capturing footage, trying to like, I just need 50 minutes of footage here. Like, I'm not even gonna like. I just turn this off when I'm done playing, but I end up getting destroyed. Um, so like the whole one more thing, the one extra turn thing or a pass turn, whatever the fuck they call it, where you trigger the weakness of an enemy, so you can get an extra turn, so then you can trigger an all-out attack with all your teammates. It's here, right? But all your Persona spells, instead of just being generic damage spells that trigger different weaknesses, they all have like different effects. Like your wind spells will like push an enemy. Your psi spells will like lure them to you because you're like, controlling their mind, while like wind spells will like suck enemies to a certain position. So they've added like very like positional stuff to all the different spell elements or whatnot. So it's already adding like depth there that wasn't in regular Persona. And then it's about triggering these so when you do get like a one more action, like you by triggering a weakness of an enemy, or like pushing them off an edge and like hitting them like who's not in cover, like because it's cover based, kind of like XCOM, like knocking someone out of cover and triggering that one more, it gives you your like another turn, right? Which not only lets you take another action, it gives you like your movement back. So
Hmm.
it's about getting your movement back by triggering the weaknesses as you move around the map to spread out your guys to set up huge triangular all-out attacks that hit everyone.
Oh, is that what I was just seeing? Where it has like
Yeah.
like it looked like flames like connecting three of the characters.
And when you pull it off, it's like super fucking rewarding. Kind of like a really good turn in Mario vs. Rabbids if you've played those games. But here it's more like it's almost like anything else doesn't even really matter, and it's all about just trying to pull that move off very well, which can
Right.
be difficult. Like figuring out how to like maximize it can be difficult. Sometimes you just have like, oh, I can't really do it, and this feels like a wet fart of a turn, but I'm gonna figure it out next turn. These motherfuckers are dead. So, and I've been enjoying it. Like there's verticality to the battlefield, so you're like knocking enemies off and you're triggering Overwatch, and a lot of strategy RPGs have really actually like flat, boring map design, and it's not like exceptional here, but it is more than your typical flat like Fire Emblem map, right?
Right.
There's a little bit of depth there to the movement. It gives me a little bit of like Codename Steam vibes, which is a game that I think is super underrated, because that game did have really smart tactics and cool map design. Not quite on that level. I shouldn't
reminiscent.
go too long. All I'm saying is I'm really enjoying it as a tactics game, and I'm enjoying the little bit of flavor. Look, I'm not actually watching every cutscene. I do skip some here and there. These
So there's no
characters
point me
like
asking you if the story's any good.
they like to fucking talk. No, it seems fine, right? Like the new character arena is like fucking cool. Like absolutely like my type of waifu. So I don't even care about all the Persona 5 ladies, that came from that game. I like the new chick. She's a badass. She's like a resistance leader with a
Oh, is
fucking
this the chick
badass
that?
flag special. And then there's like a politician guy who's on your team, which is a big like I gotta think a Persona 5 thing, but he's a new character. And it's fine. It's fine. Like a lot of these games, not a lot of strategy RPGs aren't fucking Yasumi Matsuno games with super compelling like storylines. A lot of them are just kind of like, who gives a shit, right? Like,
This is
I was
obviously
talking
trying
about,
harder than your
yeah,
average. Yeah.
yeah, like even Fire Emblem is kind of like, whatever. It's you're mostly just talking to the character the characters that you've really grown attached to, and that's kind of what matters about the story. Or like you were saying, Advance Wars, you could skip every one of those cutscenes, it don't fucking matter. But here it's like, you feel like I'm a little frustrated with the reviews, because a lot of the reviews are like, we're so sick of Persona and it doesn't live up to like, it's not like Persona 5 quality. And I'm like, well, no shit, dude. What is in terms of like presentation and characterization and stuff? Like, yeah, Persona 5 came out a long time ago.
That just sounds like you're
It's still like a
annoyed
pretty
this isn't
cool tactics game.
It just comes across as like you're just annoyed it's not Persona 6 or something.
Which they will just will tell you that. They'll tell you, we're just mad that it's not Persona 6. And you know what? That's fine. At least they're honest. It's been a long time. Persona 5 came out like 7 years ago.
I never thought they'd milk Persona 5 as much as they did. That's for sure.
The Persona before that was a PS2 game. These are long,
crazy,
long fucking periods of re-releases and spin-offs. I get it. But this is cool. Now, if I do hear that maybe it's a little overlong and it gets like the back half of the game, it's like, all right, but from what I played, I'm pretty happy with it, honestly. It's Rabbids but less stupid, but maybe not as like special. Like Mario
Did people
Rabbids
turn on that last Rabbids game? I mean, I never.
Well, I kind of hated the world design, but like in battle, it was pretty sound. I don't know who else here played that.
I played like,
but like, I just don't care about the rabbits or like the bigger story there. Like, I feel like Mario vs. Rabbids would be so much better if like instead of 90% of the enemies being weird takes on Rabbids, if they were just like iconic Mario enemies, I'd be so much more into that series. But they're not. They're like, oh, the big fat rabbit with the baseball bat. And I'm like, okay. I mean, it's an interesting enemy type, but it's also a big fat rabbit with a baseball bat.
So it sounds like you just want Mario plus Rabbids minus Rabbids.
Yeah, if it was like a fucking Hammer Bro, I'd be like, this is the coolest shit ever.
I just wish they made a Mario game like this.
A Mario Tactics game would be sick.
Yes.
Or like some kind of Mario RPG.
No.
I also started that, and I'm like, I think nostalgia's carrying this one hard. Honestly, I'm more in the camp of like Paper Mario and Luigi. I think it left Mario RPG in the dust, to be honest. But I didn't play enough to talk about it here tonight.
I will be talking about it next week.
Yeah. Cool. And also, I can't stress this enough. Game Pass, right?
Persona 5. Fucking Game Pass, dude. I'm
Game
playing
Pass.
this on my Steam Deck, and it feels like the perfect Steam Deck game.
Nice.
When you play it on Steam Deck, do you play like Moonlight to your PC? Is that how you're doing it?
Moonlight via sunshine. It's fucking. I mean, if you even have a remotely decent Wi-Fi connection,
it's
in your house, it's perfect.
That reminds me. I didn't bring this up earlier when we were initially catching up with Ed, but since you mentioned Steam Deck, Brad, Ed, you got a Steam Deck OLED.
I'm showing it right now.
Also,
I got the.
Also, Ed, real quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just do xCloud. xCloud works real great as well.
Yeah. So this is the Steam Deck OLED. It's the special edition. I paid $30.
Is that why it has the red
it has the clear plastic.
It's the clear plastic. You can see the internals or whatever.
Gotcha.
I do think the red. They're like the button. This button is red on the OLED, and the sticks are red maybe. But you can't see the
You can't
internals.
see.
But
Gotcha.
I mean, just real quick, I booted it up and so I bought this recently. I wouldn't say I'm on the level of needing a new Steam Deck. I have the old one. It's the 512 one. Like it works good. But when I bought it, I did boot them both up and show them to my wife, and I was like, can't you see a difference?
And could she?
You can. She did. So she could see the difference between the two screens. I'm
Oh,
just
wow.
kind of like it. You can. I mean, this is like
Higher
now it's
contrast for sure.
all blown out or whatever. But like even in this camera, it's like it's crazy the difference in how
Do
it's
you
how it's
have
working.
the
But
anti-glare on that one?
yes, I think I do.
Oh.
But I think I have it on both. I don't remember, but anyway. So quick review. It is 1 ounce slider. You can't really tell the difference.
1
But
ounce.
when you're
1
holding the
ounce?
two,
Oh, shit.
it's 30 milligrams lighter. I did the math.
Man.
The screen is slightly bigger, so it's a 7.4-inch diagonal instead of 7-inch. So it's slightly bigger. The resolution's the same. All the internals of the power is the same. I think the like GPU or APU can overclock itself a little bit. I think there was a small difference between the two, but the key bit is that it does have a bigger battery. So the battery will last for they say like 30 times or 30% as long, or
30
1.3.
times.
I know.
Holy shit.
Um,
Sign me up.
times.
So because if you guys don't know, an OLED panel, an OLED screen is significantly thinner than an LCD. And so there
did
is
not know
actually,
that, actually.
there's more room in this thing to put a bigger battery. That's what the extra space is. That's why it's lighter. It's a OLED panel, so it has less space than
It takes up
LCD.
less space, yeah.
Takes less space, and so they put an extra battery in there to compensate. And I think the fan profile is a little bit different too.
Oh, I hear it's quieter. I hear
Yeah.
it's quieter
So
because it can get pretty hot.
Battery
yeah,
life and the quieter thing is like, that's almost. Here's the thing. I was like, I'm giving serious thought to like selling mine and
Dude,
upgrading.
if you can find like a good buyer for your current one.
Anybody
Yeah.
here not have a Steam Deck yet that needs one?
yeah, I mean, like I'm fine shipping it too, shipping mine too. Now me and Nick are in competition for buyers, but yeah, no, when I bought the OLED Switch, which I did buy, it was right around Animal Crossing time, so my wife was like really into it. So she played. She got my old Switch and played Animal Crossing on it while I played the OLED. I don't really have the same excuse with this version of the Steam Deck. I kind of just wanted it, and I figured I could sell the other one for a decent chunk of the difference.
I will say with I was mentioning this in Discord today. So I also upgraded to a not the Switch OLED when that came out because I got like a super good trade-in deal. Sometimes GameStop does like really insane.
Yeah,
I don't know if they
that
still do
trade-in
that
deal
these
was really
days,
good for sure.
But
yeah.
so an upgraded. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I thought was like really shady when the Switch OLED came out is that they with the Switch OLED had like an exclusive like color profile boost with the vivid like boost that was only on the Switch OLED. So when people were doing comparisons of like the color differences between the regular Switch and the Switch OLED, it looked very different. And I was like,
Right.
well, that's shady. You just have this thing turned on. That's a setting you could give to the regular Switch, but you didn't do that. You made it only on the Switch OLED, which is fucked up. So of course
So
the
they could sell
comparisons
more.
are going to look super different. Now, granted, it is a nicer screen, right? But the thing is, Valve in their most recent update, they put the color profile options that are on the Steam Deck OLED on the regular Steam Decks as well.
Right.
So now you can go onto the regular Steam Deck and boost the color profile.
Right, but
like on the OLED.
the hardware is still different.
The screen's different. The screen's different, but I'm saying like the actual like
You can actually get a one-to-one comparison between the two now. Unlike
with the color profile, at least that's the thing. Like I actually use Decky Loader or whatever to do a lot of like kind of homebrew stuff on the Steam Deck, and I had that already, like kind of a homebrew version of like color profile tweaks already on the Steam Deck, and it made it a lot more vibrant already. So I'm just saying it's nice that Valve actually put those options on
Right.
the Steam Deck that's already
They're
out.
not just leaving the OG Steam Deck players behind when
Because
it's not, when
I
it's
always
not
thought it was
necessary.
super lame what Nintendo did. Honestly,
Yeah.
Nintendo doing something lame? Who would have thunk it?
it just
Never.
Right.
Yeah, I will say, like, I think I said this when I first came on the podcast to talk about the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is an incredible piece of hardware.
Oh
It
yeah.
is 100. It is by far my favorite piece of hardware that I've like. I mean, I guess besides my computer,
Yeah.
right? Like,
It's
like
my favorite handheld that I've ever had. That's
yeah.
that's for sure.
Like I do wish the compatibility with other not Steam things was a little bit better, right? Like that is where like the ROG Ally and those other like handheld devices will win out. But if you are fully in the Steam ecosystem or like mostly in the Steam ecosystem, you're gonna have like a really good time with this handheld.
to me
And like
though. Oh,
and
go
like
ahead.
the cool thing is that the old OLEDs are now, or sorry, the old Steam Decks are now like $100 off or whatever.
Which is super cool. Like
Yeah,
again, super cool of Valve to actually like significantly drop that price because they have new ones out. You don't see that
yeah.
really
The 512
anymore.
and 64 gigabyte ones are for sale until they run out, so they're not producing anymore. But the
Oh, I see.
256 one will remain sorry, on sale, like discounted until they run out. The 256 is now the base level, and then they have the 512 OLED and the 1 terabyte OLED. That's their
But
new
that's like
SKUs.
as a portable PC or whatever, that's like still a super fucking good deal.
Yeah.
The reason that I do want one,
I
but
got one for you, Brad.
I am installing less games to my Steam Deck these days and streaming more from my PC
Hmm.
because it does feel, honestly, for some kinds of games, a little long in the tooth. And so like a Steam Deck 2 or whatever, super exciting. But like to me, I think the new Switch is probably around the corner. And I think
Yeah.
when that Switch comes out, I don't think I'm gonna want to fuck with my Steam Deck because I bet like whatever the Switch 2 is, it's gonna feel tech wise a lot more like exciting and polished than playing a lot of certain kinds of games on a Steam Deck. I
Yeah.
still think it's an amazing streaming device. Like just having those controls on a nice screen, like in my lap, is like huge. I love it for emulated games. I love it for like indie games. But like
I just love the idea of
a
being
lot
able
a lot
to.
of those indie games I might start playing on a Switch 2 when it
Hmm.
comes to
I
handheld
think
stuff.
like the access that you get from it
Yeah.
is the best part.
Yeah,
Like
no,
This Steam
I
library.
have 750 games on Steam that like now like there was a time when I wouldn't have touched them forever because like when I'm sitting down at my computer, I want to play the big computer games, right? The big ones, the ones that look really good and stuff like that, and the ability to access the indie category of my Steam Deck there, and then also older games that are slowly becoming more and more
You're right.
compatible, like that kind of stuff, like makes this game like being able to play. When Alan Wake 2 came out earlier this year, I was
Mhm.
like, I want to play Alan Wake 1. I've never played it. I want to play it. And so, but like to the idea of like sitting down at my computer to play Alan Wake 1 just wouldn't have worked based off of like where I was in my life at the time and like what I wanted to do at my computer, what games I wanted to play at my computer. But being able to play it upstairs after Katie goes to bed
Yeah.
in bed in
Yeah.
my Steam Deck, like that is a really powerful option for me
I've
like
played most of my Baldur's Gate 3 on my Steam Deck, streamed to my
That's
Steam
wild.
Deck.
same with
That's
Shadow
wild.
Streamed to
Gambit
my
for
Steam
me.
Deck.
Like I played so much Shadow Gambit on my Steam Deck, and it's those kind of games that are really good for the streaming version because you don't have to have that split second. I tried playing like Wolong through like streaming to my computer and Xbox Game Pass and stuff like that, but I tried to go up against a boss and I just couldn't get the timing right because of the slight delay.
We're
But
using Moonlight.
yeah, yeah. But even then,
Yeah.
it wasn't quite good enough, you know. And so like,
Yeah, I mean,
but
Wolong is fucking brutal.
that was against a boss, right? So I needed
Yeah.
that perfect parry timing. When I was playing
Yeah.
just against normal enemies, it was fine, right? So I think like that, yeah. I mean, I think that the streaming option is really powerful. I've been playing a a little bit too much of Halo the Master Chief Collection because I bought it. It was like $10 back in the summer, and I bought it and I played through all of them on my Steam Deck. And like
wow.
the 12-year-old me who would have dreamed for the idea of playing Halo away from home, with friends, with like playing the campaigns or whatever, it just made my heart happy the whole time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
you can't beat it. I mean, it's really
if I'm a
unique.
little down on Steam Deck, it's just because the Switch is still the system that went with me everywhere this year, and I think
Mhm.
it's mostly because so many banger games for me came out on the Switch this year. There was
Yeah.
a new Fire Emblem, new Zelda, new Mario, that Advance Wars remake. I've been playing Pikmin for so long. Pikmin 4 is so good that every time I go somewhere, like a Switch is still way more wieldy than a Steam Deck.
Oh, no, yeah, without a doubt. Like if I had like the Switch was the only real option for me in Europe, not just because it was Zelda, but also because it was smaller. Like the profile of
Yeah.
it is so much smaller and so much lighter. And when you're making deliberate choices about what you're going to carry on your back for 2 months, you
Yeah.
Yeah.
you choose the
It's a more
lighter thing, right?
realistic long-term travel
Yeah, exactly.
handheld for sure.
But like when I went home for Thanksgiving this week, I played Halo, I played a little bit of Shadow Gambit, like being able to play. I can't play those games on the Switch, you know.
Right.
And so it's definitely
Yeah.
there's definitely a selective element of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, speaking of maybe this is a good opportunity to transition a little bit because we are talking about games that run well on Steam
Don't
Deck,
you need a
and
keyboard for that, Ed?
You can sorry. I was showing Chance's scenario. You do not need a keyboard. You can use the Steam keyboard. Actually,
No.
it
Oh,
doesn't.
okay.
It,
So
it,
I downloaded the demo to my Switch, and I'm like, this does not seem like a game I want to play on Switch. But I guess you do have. But yeah, it might
Yeah,
still
you
be.
can use the D-pad as well to select the letters. You can type with the
Yeah.
keypad, or you could do just D-pad. But
I
anyway,
haven't really used that too much on my Steam Deck yet.
sorry, Nick.
No worries. But so this is a good opportunity to transition because we're talking about games that play well on Steam Deck, and I've been playing a lot. Finally went back and started playing through Cyberpunk 2077.
Mhm.
This has been a long time
Wait,
coming,
that-
and
Are you
Your
playing the campaign
transition,
again,
though,
or are
is a
you
little
playing
sus.
Phantom
not
Liberty?
again. Not again. I am
That
playing.
game runs well on a Steam Deck.
I have played I've played about at this point 26 hours of the game. I've played about like 5 or 6 of those hours on a Steam Deck. I've been taking with me to work and playing it on my lunch break and whatnot, and sitting in bed sometimes and playing it.
CDPR made a Steam Deck specific like setting
Yeah.
for 2077 after it launched.
I really did think I was going to be taking quite a hit.
Nick, why you
graphically
got
and-
such a fat ass?
Because that's what Nick enjoys.
Okay, really quick. Let me set this up real quick because I first of all, to answer your question, Ed, I never played Cyberpunk 2077. I bought it when it first came out. I played it I got basically to the title card and was like, this game is a broken mess. And for the one and only time in my life, I returned it to Amazon and I never touched it again. Which was heartbreaking, right? And I specifically decided to pick this game up now. And I know, Brad, if we're talking again about my choices, my prioritization as far as like Baldur's Gate 3 and stuff, I specifically wanted to make time for Cyberpunk this year because of that 2.0 update and because the Phantom Liberty deal expansion has been getting so much positive buzz. And I do want to play this and actually like be able to take it into consideration for like Game of the Year because when it first came out, I was like, this is trash. This game is not done. This is an unfinished product. Put it out of my mind.
I would just be glad to have somebody else to talk to that's actually beaten the game.
Yes,
I've beaten the game.
Oh, you did?
There you go. There you
Oh,
go.
there
Ed's
we go.
beating the game too. So I am playing through Cyberpunk 2077 for the first time, like with the actual intention of finishing the game. And this game went from like what I would call broken garbage to being one of the most enjoyable open world games I've played. Just not necessarily in the same way that like, you know, I talk about like Red Dead Redemption 2 or things of that nature, but like just like the level of choice they give you, the amount of world building that they do is phenomenal. Just kind of the visual fidelity of it is insane. Like sometimes I'm like having conversations with people in this game. Like I'll go into a dialogue with like a character like it's part of the main story, and I'm watching them, and then I forget that like you can like back up and walk away from them at any point. But I felt like I was in a cutscene. Like I felt like I was in a pre-rendered cutscene, and I couldn't do anything, and I was locked into it. But that's just the way the game looks. It's fucking crazy.
It's a beautiful game for sure.
Yes.
Now that it runs well, it's fucking stunning.
Yeah,
And
I guess
go
like I'm very surprised that you like this open world so much, and
Have you-
I don't know how much of that is the 2.0 version versus like I played it on release, and you know like it was buggy, but I got through it. It wasn't like a completely broken mess.
did you play it on PC or did you play it on?
I played on PC. Yeah,
Yeah, I played it on
Um,
PS4, I guess, when it came out, and it was
No, you played it on 5. You didn't play it on PS4.
No, I played it on. Dude, that game came
No,
out.
you didn't.
Was it?
It came out on PS. It launched on
it
PS5.
came on PS5. He's right.
Well, I mean,
But,
it was
like-
backwards compatible. They did not have a dedicated
no.
PS5 version
Yeah,
until
I bought
well
it.
after launch.
I
Yeah,
promise
it was the
when I bought
PS4
game-
version, but you played it on
But
PS5.
playing it on PS4 was the true disaster. I played a bunch of that on 5, and it was fine.
Yeah, but okay, so Nick, tell me like what you are like super engaging with the open world here.
I played it on PS4.
Well, okay. First, real quick. So Ed, so you said you played it at launch, right? So you have not played any of the 2.0 stuff?
Nope, nothing.
Okay. So, and I'm not really even entirely sure how much that's going to play into answering your question because, well, actually, honestly, it may have quite a bit to do with it because I do know that the 2.0 update revamps a lot of like the skill trees and the way character progression works, and I don't even remember how it worked in the original game. Here, and again, some of the stuff I'm going to say might just be the way it was at launch. I'm not entirely sure, but like they have like the 3 separate skill trees that you would upgrade, but like when you level up, you get an attribute point that you can use to like upgrade a specific tree, and then as you upgrade that tree, you unlock additional levels in their I forgot what they call them, like their perks or skills. I don't remember, but like so like you put a point into like intelligence, and it's gonna increase your ability to let your handling for like smart weapons, which is kind of one of the things I'm really gravitating towards. I love the smart weapons in this game. But then you get an ability point or an attribute point that you can then go into that skill tree and unlock, and you can refund those at any point, and those have tons of options. And then on top of that, you have the cyberware. So you're like going around. You have to go track down these Ripper docs all over town, and they actually like swap out like your eyes and your legs and your arms and your skeletons and all this stuff. And the number of options that are there is like your nervous system. They're just the level of customization of your character I find to be completely overwhelming, but like in a really good way. Like
do you feel like those choices like make a significant difference?
Yes.
Mostly like the cyberware stuff. Like
cyberware is where you're gonna notice it more, because I think a lot of the stuff in the regular skill trees is mostly gonna be kind of like behind the scenes stuff where it's like just improving your accuracy and the damage you're doing with weapons and stuff like that. But like I decided to upgrade kind of the biggest example I would say is like I upgraded my legs, or I added an update to my legs that like allows me to like charge my jumps and jump super high. So like I can now like vertically traverse the world in a way that you just can't. And that's just one of the leg options. But you have to choose between that or like getting the legs that let you run really fast, or getting legs that let you like dash around and like move super quick. And just like that's just one tier of like of your body, right? There's like I pull up the cyberware menu and I'm like, there's like 20 blocks here I need to fill. I've only filled in like 6 of them so far because I don't have enough money to just go buying up all this shit. So like that's completely overwhelming, and I'm having a great time with it. I'm also completely swept up in the story now that I've finally gotten far enough to kind of like see what the game is actually about. I think the idea that you have this chip in your head and it has like this construct of Keanu Reeves' character that's like living, it's like a terrorist that died 50 years ago living in your head, and you're trying to get him out without killing yourself. I think it's just like a really cool concept.
I don't know. I think calling him a terrorist is corpo propaganda.
That's right. I picked
Crispy's not wrong.
Corpo. I picked Corpo as my background because I was trying.
Oh, I bet you.
Yeah, you would.
Did. I bet you goddamn did.
No, because I specifically went into this with the idea that I was like, I'm gonna try and make choices that I don't think I would normally make. in this game because I immediately started gravitating towards Nomad, and then I
It's
was
like-
like, but I feel like if I played this game like 5 separate times, and I feel like I would probably end up picking Nomad all 5
Nick,
times.
I think this is even like more revealing though, right?
Yeah,
It's like you
it's
wanted
like
to be the biker, but you decided to go with your true colors, which was the
no,
kid.
I picked
it's like trying to avoid
sellout.
fate.
well, I don't know. The idea of playing someone who used to be part of the broken system that you're now fighting against, I think, is pretty interesting.
I'm
More
fucking
interesting,
with you.
maybe,
That is
than
very
being
cyberpunk in general. too.
Yeah, but it's more. I think it's more interesting than being the person who hates corporations right from the start. Because the idea of like starting there and then building up that
Yeah.
hatred for them is I think just more interesting.
You mean losing privilege?
Yes, losing privilege. Exactly.
I think the street kid is probably the most cyberpunk, honestly. But
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm just
Just-
having again, and I'm trying to get to the Phantom Liberty DLC, which I think I can technically already access, but everyone keeps telling me it's probably a good idea to wait till you're pretty close to the end to do it, because it actually, the longer you wait, the more options it kind of opens up for you when you get to that. So I'm going to save that for last, which is fine because I'm having a great time with the main game. But like
This motherfucker just fucking riding around Night City, fucking double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon.
Okay, let me tell you this. So I had this wonderful experience.
corpo ass pervert.
so
Figuratively and literally.
I'm playing as Lady V, right? Because I play ladies in pretty much every game where it gives you the option, right? And I think I entered into this contract for this game under the assumption that, like many video games, right, that give you romance options, everybody is basically a possibility, right? Like if you play a lady, it just so happens the ladies that you could romance usually are like, well, if you want them to be gay, they'll be gay because you're choosing to romance them, and they're going to be open to that possibility, right? And I learned in the worst possible way, live in the moment, that the person that I wanted to romance
that you
was
can't
not-
rub your giant
was
ass against
not-
Pan Am's giant ass.
Yeah, everyone wants Pan Am.
No.
You're not alone there, Nick.
If I had to lodge like one complaint, I do think
Yeah, he
this
wants to
game-
lodge
Oh, you're
something.
lodging a complaint now
Yeah.
about this.
Uh-huh.
If I had to lodge one complaint against this game so far, I think for a game that like gives you this much freedom and like obviously is steeped in like the history of like playing games from like The Witcher, and think of RPGs from BioWare where you have like lots of romance options, whatever. Like it's trying to scratch that same itch. Baldur's Gate 3 being another one, right? You have a lot of options, and I feel like the options
talk about
romance wise are
Baldur's Gate 3
pretty limited
relationships like
here.
You know anything?
Well,
Base-
look, man. Like, okay, this is a
No, Judy's great. I love Judy.
Not everyone
is
gets to
this
be
is kind of
bisexual
a-
in your life.
yeah, this
Nick.
is kind of a silly discussion, but like what I would say is that like the serious take on what you're talking about.
Well, actually, real quick, before you finish that sentence, can I just clarify? I actually do really like the fact that the character that they wrote, the character of Pan Am that they wrote, rejected me. I think that's great, and I actually really liked the organic. Like I found out, like I realized in real time, I was like, oh, she's not going for this. Fuck, like, and that was really cool. But then I realized when you think about it, I was like, okay, so I had to think about my other romance options in the game, and there's just not many. So like that's really my main complaint when we talk about
There's not
the
many if
romance
you want a
option.
woman, right?
Right, they give each, so you have male and female V. They give you one male option and one female option per character. I kind of feel like if you go into a game and you're like, okay, I want to romance a character, and I know which gender I want to romance.
You use examples like BioWare as if like like
I'm not
Ashley and
saying-
Caden didn't only swing one way, right? In the first game, at least.
I haven't even thought.
Multiple
about
BioWare games
Ashley.
have been like that. I think.
Yeah.
That's true. I haven't thought about
In
Ashley
Dragon
Caden
Age
in a long time.
3,
Nick,
there was a
for your
character who-
consideration, I pasted in chat, since you are a PC gamer,
No.
a mod so you can
By the-
romance Pan Am.
So no. First of all, that mod is still in development. I have installed several mods.
Oh, somebody's been doing some research.
He's up on it.
Listen. I have installed. I think I have 4 mods going. I'm not like a huge. I don't usually mod PC games, but I did install a few pretty basic ones like the HD texture pack,
Clean
and
face mod.
Hey Nick, can I interrupt that, or can I finish that
yeah.
sentence you interrupted?
Yeah.
me with?
I just wanted to make sure you weren't about to
Like
paint me as
9,000.
being.
No, what I was gonna say is that like I think the actual like topic of discussion that we're broaching on here is this difference between like a simulated world with verisimilitude and like a world that is entirely player facing, right? A world that is entirely like are these characters just people who behave how you want them to behave?
Fuck
They're
off.
there to be used. Yeah, they're there to be used for the player satisfaction, or is
Right.
this a simulation that has like is trying to build the illusion of interiority with these characters? Like they all have their own motivations, their own ideas, their own
Which is what it's
lifestyles,
doing.
which is what it's doing, which is a good
Which I
thing,
like.
I think, for this kind of game. I think that making sexuality a part of a character is like
It's
interesting.
important. It's interesting.
I'm
and
not
it's
saying that
important.
like every game should do that. Like I don't necessarily think Fallout should do that, but like,
That would just be
but
bad.
for Cyberpunk, like what this kind of like touches on like what I think was the big problem with Cyberpunk at launch,
Mhm.
and like part of the reason why like okay, Cyberpunk came out and it was a janky ass open world Eurojank AAA RPG, right?
Yes.
And it was kind of like, all right, that's a little disappointing, but whatever. But like, people were acting like it was the end of the fucking world. Because I don't know if you remember, but like the fervor around this game before it came out was like, people were getting ready to like live in this game. Like people were starting to talk about Cyberpunk as if it was going to change gaming forever, and as if it was like people. The only kind of like rhetoric you get around this kind of stuff anymore is like people who are like fucking like crypto addicts who talk about like the metaverse. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Like
Yeah.
people thought that this was just gonna
They
be
forgot it
like
was a video game.
yeah, it's like a fucking video game that's got like a story to tell, and you're gonna play it for 80, maybe 100 hours, and that's it, right? Like,
Right.
so I just thought that was interesting to point out.
No,
But
it is,
but
and I want to
I
be
do
clear.
I do like that. Like, if you make the choice, like I made a male V last time I played because normally I would make a female V. I did the first time I played, but then this time I was like, by the time I got to the Pan Am romance, I was like, you know what? This is fucking worth it. Like, this is pretty nice.
Yeah.
This is kind of cool.
But I do want to be clear, and I don't want to like super focus on the romance because I think this game is way more than the romance options. It's just one of those things a lot of people talk about, and
It's more adult than
aren't
Baldur's
those?
Gate
But
3,
aren't those like romance? Like aren't those romances pretty great in that?
they
like,
are great.
like
I don't get me wrong. I think I'm really liking kind of the progression of my romance with Judy. I just kind of wish, as someone who went into it knowing that as I was going to play a Lady V and I wanted a girlfriend in this game, that essentially that means you only have one option.
Do you
And-
think Brad just said that the romances are better than Baldur's Gate 3? And I think he was joking, but I want
am
to clarify.
joking. They're incredible
Okay.
in Baldur's Gate 3.
They are incredible.
I almost am convincing myself that they're not as good in Baldur's Gate 3.
So
Like,
so what
Because
what
I feel
like
like everything in Baldur's Gate 3 is a little too much more like forward facing, like, well, tell me how you want me to behave and I will conform to that.
dude,
like,
but how, wait, whoa.
I feel like this
First
is
of all,
teetering on, like,
it's-
some long
it's a
conversation.
very,
they're
like-
like Baldur's Gate 3 characters, like you might get that sense like early on, like everyone's DTF and I could just fuck anybody I want and we'll fuck everybody together, but like it is certainly not actually that way. And there are there's like subtleties where like like with Karlak, for example, who's kind of my main squeeze. She's very much like, oh,
She's
I'm not
everyone's
gonna
main
like
squeeze,
lock you
though.
down or whatever. But then you can still explore and
But
do whatever.
there's,
I just
like-
want you to be happy. But then there's like
But there's
you
this
see
whole
little
idea with,
moments where
like-
she's actually kind of like bothered by it. If you're in the brothel and you're trying to do like the threesome. Like some characters, you can go up to a
Oh,
fucking
oh,
threesome
I'm
depending
aware.
on the character, but some characters be like, dude, that just actually, I'm not
No,
kind of
listen,
cool with
like
this.
I'm aware my Shadowheart romance bugged out on me, and like I will never not be bitter about it. But like there's still this thing where like a character like Shadowheart, like you can completely change her worldview. You can completely help
Well,
her go.
that's
Hang
the
on,
nature of that
listen to
character.
me fucking talk for a second, okay? Like you can completely like go against what she believes, convince her that she's wrong, move her to a new worldview, and romance her, or romance her the other way. Like it doesn't matter. Like if you're playing, there's a path to romance no matter what you do, no matter how drastically you change that character's life. In this game, it's like, man, if you kind of
That's an unfair
like, if
example,
you don't
but
side
continue.
with the nomads or something, Pan Am has like a principle about not being your friend at a certain point. Like there are like moments where it's like you made a choice and now this character doesn't like you. You made a choice and now this character, doesn't want to have sex with you. You made a choice, things changed, right? And in Baldur's Gate, I feel like things are a little more like squishy. Like
But you
things
gave
are
an
a little
unfair
more like,
example. I mean, that is the whole nature of that character with
but it's
Shadowheart.
not just her. It's every
But
character in that
but
game, with
there
the
are
exception of maybe
characters where
Minthara, like is like the only one who it's like if you're really evil, she'll fuck with you, but like if not, like you're just gonna have to fight her at some point. Like that's
but there are like relationships that fall apart depending on like choices you make.
there are a set of relationships that are inaccessible if you make one specific choice in the game.
I guess we need to be a little careful here, but
This
all I'm
this
saying
is a
is
fascinating
I had like
conversation that
Are we
could
talking
like
about
Carlac
Cyberpunk?
came to me and she was like, I want like a
I'm
really
trying
Sure.
to talk
nice
about
normal date night, and it was brilliant. And we went on a normal
yeah.
date night,
I'm not
and it
saying you
was
can't have
amazing. But as
amazing
far as like
like story
choice, like
moments.
I
I'm
think
saying
some of
like
the
from the
subtle
top down
differences,
view.
like, but they're not all like horny fuck dolls, like sort of the media like portrays it to be.
Jesus.
And I kind of like that about it.
Well,
eh,
okay. Okay, real quick.
But again, you're
Video
romancing
games.
slutty
What are you
Shadowheart
guys
for
fucking
me.
talking about?
Yeah.
We are talking about video games, and we're specifically making a comparison between how this game that we're talking about handles it
Right.
to another
You are.
high-profile game. So, like, guys, shut the fuck up. Like,
I'm really just
like-
I'm really just trying to avoid like the one thing I think this is a very interesting conversation to broach on, but it's also a conversation I can see going on for another hour because Baldur's Gate 3 and Cyberpunk both have different approaches to romance that I think are
I
both
don't think,
honestly.
yeah, and I don't think that the approach in Baldur's Gate 3 is bad or not even like not amazing, but
Yeah.
it's different and it reflects a different design sensibility. It reflects a different kind of
I agree. I mean, one's a game where
target.
you know every second is like a choice, right? And the other one's kind of like a much more scripted romance, right?
Well, here's the thing. I'm pretty constantly surprised in Cyberpunk now that
That's a
I've
fair
gotten
comparison, but okay.
now that I've gotten pretty far, the number of choices that you actually have to make on on the character level are pretty surprising. And a lot of those choices have pretty far-reaching effects, and those effects can play out in unexpected ways, both in story sequences and in romance options. Like there's like a lot where I'm kind of at with Judy right now. I don't want to, for those who haven't played, I don't want to get into spoilers or anything, but like there is some pretty heavy shit happening, and we're having lots of conversations, and she's asking me questions, and I'm having to like think really hard. Like I'm like, okay, I got to be careful with the choice I make here and it's not obvious necessarily which line of dialogue is going to play better with her. So I'm like sitting here I'm like, oh my god, these conversations are actually pretty fucking challenging.
And so much of what like blocks out. No, never mind.
Wait,
I'm
what?
sorry. I was going to continue the Baldur's Gate 3 comparison, but that's a dead end. So never mind.
Oh, I don't want you to feel like it's a dead end.
No, I was just gonna say that like I feel like there's so much going on in Baldur's Gate where it's like Yeah, you can definitely fuck up a romance with a character in that game, but it's more like because you went and kissed somebody else, like, or like because you went and like flirted one too many times with the vampire or something like that. And in here, it's like you're fucking things up because of like bigger things, like because of like bigger real world choices that bring your worldview into conflict with their worldview. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
That makes
it makes sense. Although there's a lot about both games, I guess I don't really know. Like, I'm thinking of like Lae'zel, right? I can
Mhm.
imagine there's certain things you would do in that game that would make her be like, I don't even want to fucking talk to you, but I don't really know.
The
I don't
first
really know.
time Lae'zel so in my experience, Lae'zel comes onto you, and if you
Yeah.
are not
They patched
immediately
that out, by
like,
the way.
okay,
Just
is
so
that
so
no, 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 but
there
like
was a
they
lot of
patched
like
out
early game
how early
corniness
she
that they
comes at
patched
you,
out. Yeah.
but it's still the same condition where it's like if you're not like 1,000% DTF at her beck and call, then you go talk to somebody else and like flirt with them, then she's automatically like, nope, someone's sniffing around you. I don't care anymore. Like it's all just like it's teen drama romance. It's not like
Yeah.
adults in a world affected by problems decision making. You know what I mean?
I got that vibe at first for sure. But I don't know. I feel like maybe you just picked the wrong one. I feel like my relationship with Carl, like at first it was like, oh, I got to the point where we fucked. But then it like kind of kept going. And like I told you, we had this like really like sweet moment
Yeah,
that
I
had
don't
nothing to
think
do
that the
with
romances themselves. I don't think that like when you are in
you're
like
talking
an
about the
actual
agency affecting the romance.
I'm
I get
talking
it.
about like what it is, like what you can do as a player that will open up or block off romances. Seems a little flat in BG3 compared to something
Hmm.
like this.
Hmm.
And here's the thing.
Or you can dice roll your way out of it.
Here's the
And
thing.
guys roll your way out of it.
Here's the other thing about this, and this is maybe the last thing I'll say about Cyberpunk on the subject right now. But like, to Crispy's point, um, the one thing that I think is kind of disappointing, because I do agree with you as far as like how like the kinds of decisions you're making, the kinds of conflicts you're running up against that do have real world impact on your romance
It's
options, is kind
yeah.
of disappointing when you think about how few options you actually have.
It's a writing choice that I think achieves a better sense of verisimilitude than another game which does an excellent job of achieving verisimilitude with its characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nick, I
So
want to ask this real quick.
okay.
So how far along are you in the game?
26 hours.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
have you experienced any of the Phantom Liberty content?
like I said, I have not touched the Phantom Liberty content. I can access it at this point, but I
Okay.
am saving that for late game prior to finishing the base game. Everybody tells me that the longer you wait to play the Phantom Liberty stuff, the better, just in terms of like,
Oh, really?
yeah, because of the number of you'll have more options, you'll have more freedom, and something about the skill tree is changed by playing it later in the game as opposed to immediately upon having access to it. I don't really
Okay.
know what they mean by that, but that's kind of which is fine because I'm kind of like I'm on the track right now, right? So I'm gonna wait until middle or near the end of the final act of the base game to like trigger that quest. So at some point I will come back and I will talk about the Phantom Liberty stuff. But I just wanted to say I'm really enjoying this game. It now actually feels like a video game to me, because my initial experience with this game was a train wreck. So I'm really, really glad I finally made time for it because this game is fun. I just feel like I have so much agency in the world, and the world has such a unique sense of personality, and personality is just, maybe that's a not strong enough word to put it, because this is obviously a very
It's
I don't know.
stylistically
This
like
whole world
powerful,
makes me
right?
feel
Right?
dirty. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
which
meant
is
to.
Yeah.
it's meant to, and I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's the fact that they're so successful at achieving that, I think, is what makes it really unique. Um, but yeah, I'm having a great time with it. Also, I got a secret weapon that's a dildo that I got from doing a secret side mission that you could have easily missed, and that is one of the strongest weapons in the game. So
All right.
that's interesting.
Playing
It's fine.
Saints Row over there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a little Saints Row for sure. But anyways, that's Cyberpunk 2077. Okay. Ed, before we go to the 4-player minute, I know you said you've been playing some Shadow Gambit. Did you want to talk about that a little bit, or?
Yeah, so I'm actually very close to the end of Shadow Gambit.
Oh, wow.
There's a little bit of a step in the game where they make you like kind of like explore each character's background story a little bit more.
Yeah.
And you have to do like 4 of them in order to progress. And there's like 7 or 8 characters yet you could choose from. So there's a little bit of a little bit of a choice there on where you want to go. And you basically just go back and explore the islands that you've already been to, and each one of them has like a specific meaning to the different ones. But I would say this game is unfortunately, based on the circumstances, Mimimi is like opus gem,
Magnum opus, that's for
magnum
sure.
opus. Yeah. I mean, it is a I put Desperados 3 as my number 1 game of the year that it came out, right?
Yep.
It beat Hades, it beat 8 other games that was on my list that I can't remember off the top of my head. But I think like the feeling you get every time you perfectly execute a plan, or even when you're like kind of flying by the seat of your pants and like you do a thing and then you like quickly pause to like set up another thing and then you play that and you quickly pause and set up another thing and do that, like that feeling of like executing those things is like I explained this in my Desperados 3 video, that it's basically like a bunch of little puzzles that are all time based, and you're executing and getting that dopamine hit off every single like successful execution. And the fact that like they went even like super fantastical with like all the powers and stuff like that just elevates the entire game too, where you're like
I want to play this.
The magic powers are so good, and the fact that you're just able to like blink across the map and and there's one character that has a big cannon on her back that you can like stuff people into and fire across the map at other enemies and stuff like that. That's and she doesn't even have any special powers. Like her special power is that she has a cannon on her back and that's it. But like there's other characters who can enchant people to make them walk away from them, or you can upgrade it to walk towards you. And that was the first upgrade that I got, because the ability to get someone to walk towards you obviously is way more powerful than walking away from you. But man, such an incredible game, so stylistically.
And you've been playing this a lot on Steam Deck?
Yeah, so on my old Steam Deck it would drain the battery like hell, but it would work and it would play pretty well. But I would do Moonlight to stream it from my computer, and that worked out perfectly.
I just thought the controls would be kind of wonky just because it's isometric and
the controller scheme for this is so good. The way it works is that you switch characters by hitting the left bumper, and you can hold it down to select a specific character. Yeah. Otherwise, it just goes into rotation. And the same thing with your abilities; it's the right bumper. And everything else is just like thumbstick. The one thing you can't do very well is you can't like order different characters to move around at the same time, right?
Oh, I imagine it's difficult.
Like an RTS, you can like select a character, tell them to go here, and then select another character, tell them to go here, right? The only way you can move your character is by using the stick.
Yeah.
Right? And so what it just means that the gameplay is just a little bit slower, where you're actually like putting everyone in position first and then setting up all your abilities to do stuff.
Are you how much of this have you played? Are you sure about that? Because I remember playing some Desperados 3 with a controller, and I thought there was a way you could do that. What you're talking about?
You can pause. If you pause and then like make your move, and then hit go, they'll move. But you're basically like
queue up more than one character.
No, you can.
You can queue up every character in your party.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, you can do that, but it's like basically like you're duplicating the time it would take to do it anyway, because you're like you pause, you move everyone in the locations, and you hit go, versus like if you're playing with mouse and keyboard, you can select the character, just click it over there, and they'll walk over there while you're selecting another character. So it's like, it's just a little bit of a different control scheme, but I haven't found that to be impeding in any way to how you play the game. It feels perfectly fine to play it in the way that I am, which is just like moving characters around, leaving them in bushes for a while I move the other characters around and stuff like that. So there's nothing wrong with playing on the Steam Deck. The only thing that's a little annoying is it takes a couple extra seconds to quick save. Which like in this game where you quick save all the time, it's a little I mean like maybe 2 seconds, versus on my computer it's like instantaneous, and that has everything to do with like the power that is trying to go like work through the Steam Deck. Obviously, when I'm streaming it from my computer, it's instantaneous as well, but just something to keep in mind. It does drain your battery super fast, so
I tried to get Nick on this Moonlight train, and this motherfucker told me I never play my Steam Deck at home. This is what this guy told me.
What are you talking? Oh, what?
See,
I don't play it at home a lot. Like I play it maybe like 30 minutes in bed, and then I start to get sleepy and I go to sleep. Most of the time when I'm playing my Steam Deck, I am away from home.
I play my Steam Deck a lot of times on the couch next to Katie.
This is what I brought up with Nick, and he said, "I've never heard of this concept."
As like an excuse to be hanging out.
I'm pretty sure Brett is making stuff up.
We had that conversation maybe on stream about couch time.
I don't believe you, but okay.
But like, I stopped playing this because I just got distracted by other things, and
my god, you never finished
this? Let me down.
Look,
because I was interested in this game, but I was like, well, Nick's playing it, Chris Davis is playing it, they're gonna blast through this shit, they got it covered. I'll move on to something else, and y'all both dropped it. Or wait, Nick, you didn't even start
never started
it.
Nick never started it. I dropped it because there were other things that I had to prioritize, and
I mean, it came out. Right, I mean, it was competing with Baldur's Gate on my Steam Deck.
I know, but they're all over the Desperados nuts too. I mean, they love that shit.
I mean, that was my number 3 game of the year that year. It was a pretty good game.
I mean, and this game, like I said several months ago, is the culmination of everything they've learned over the years with their formula. It feels like they've taken everything that they made and just built into one singular package, and it works very well.
This is a very small thing that they did in this game. The ability, like, it doesn't show you, in Desperados 3, when you finished a mission, it would show you all the like optional things you could do to get like those badges or whatever. They don't show you that until you beat the story, which is like really, really important for someone like me that sees all those badges and like, oh, I'm gonna go back and play the mission again so I can get all those badges or whatever. And the fact that I'm forced not to do that allows me to actually play the game how they want to. And I wonder how if they had any data on Desperados 3 and they saw how many people like went back to the same mission and then like kind of tapered off like I did.
See how many people just dropped the game completely after replaying every mission like 16 times.
To combat the people like like Nick. You know how Nick struggles with like Hitman, right? Like it needs to be a perfect run for him to feel like it's even worth doing or whatever.
Right.
And I feel like
don't make me explain myself again.
No,
I mean, it's fine. No, it's fine because I get that. In fact, I used to feel that way about Hitman myself, honestly. And I feel like people who want to get all those badges on a first run through are people who want to make sure everything's perfect every time. Reload. And I feel like Hitman and this game and this series or this Mimimi games, like I feel like they're best when you are just kind of like spontaneous and just kind of like making the best of a bad situation. So
yeah, but that's the antithesis of this game's design. It's designed to make you save scum constantly. So
I know, same as Hitman, but I'm saying like when shit is kind of happening, just kind of like seeing if you can make the most of it.
Yeah, but in small
here's the thing.
Right?
Here's my problem.
In small bursts.
Yeah, like in like seconds. If you can like fix something in a second
Throw
or two,
a can of soup at someone's face.
Then great. If you can't, then it's whatever. Reload, like Chris is saying.
Yeah, and I mean it's literally built into the narrative of the game. To save scum. So, I mean the one thing I don't like about this game. And this is going to sound a little petty, but I understand why they did this. the size of the maps means that you're playing through a limited environment with not a whole lot of like branching objectives and things to do. And I think that detracts from the experience for me. Because I loved in Shadow Tactics and Desperados how there were these large maps that you spend several hours in exploring and trying things out. In these, it's like maybe a third of those size maps, and you're supposed to actually go and replay these repeatedly for new objectives.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like the maps are, I would say, probably about the same size as the Desperados maps, maybe a little bit smaller. But the whole storyline is that you do revisit these maps to do different things. That's definitely the case now where I'm at, where I'm doing these like teammate specific missions where they have to be in my party, and we're doing very, very specific things. But it's definitely not that level that you're thinking of, Chris, for sure.
Yeah, and to be fair, like Mimimi has done this in the past with the previous games, but those were like challenge variations of existing maps. Those weren't like core to the narrative. So like I do want to come back and play this later this year, hopefully before Game of the Year, but like God, I've got so many other things I got to work on.
I feel like you already played a good chunk of it. I feel
like Redfall.
Hey, I got through that in like 18 hours, man. Boom, done.
That's a lot of time.
And 18 hours could have been Shadow Gambit.
I wanted to know. Heaven forbid I want to experience an arcane game.
Brad, just for the record, I know you're getting you're stomping on me for like choosing to play other games over Baldur's Gate prioritizing right now, but like at least I didn't prioritize.
That's true. That's true. Although sometimes I worry that you're gonna like pop in Discord one day saying, you know what, I'm thinking about starting Redfall.
No. I will only be playing Redfall because I'm gonna lose the Fantasy Critic, and then I have to.
Actually, I don't think you are.
You know, I feel like that is kind of rude, but okay.
I mean, that's what we agreed upon, right? Whoever's in last place has to play the worst rated game on their list.
Stream it.
Yes, of course, stream it. Believe me, if I'm going to play Redfall, it's going to be on the stream. Anyways, guys, we are going over on time, so let's go ahead and wrap up with the 4-player minutes. Yeah. Let's start with Ed, since it's been a good long time since Ed has done a 4-player minute.
So in the theme of like making questionable hardware decisions, I too bought an analog pocket.
Oh hey, are we analog buddies?
Yeah.
Oh god.
I did not get one of those like fancy ones because I ordered mine like probably a year and a half ago, if not 2 years ago. And
text still on there, Chris Davis?
Yeah, I haven't played with it yet. I need to buy some Game Boy Advance games.
I have Super Mario Advance in here, so it is a thing that I have played with. I play it while my code is building on sometimes during work. Don't tell my coworkers or my boss.
They don't listen to this show. Well, they don't. But.
They don't.
Statistically, they don't.
Yeah.
But I think like it's cool that like it seems like the market of video games is like getting to a place where there's a little bit more support for not just like handheld, but like different form factors and stuff like that. It seems like there's definitely a little bit of a renaissance in terms of like gaming hardware right now. And I just think that's cool. I can't reiterate enough how much like joy was in my heart as I was shooting grunts in Halo on my Steam Deck. It's like 12-year-old me would have died.
Yeah.
So
would have been dead. Let's not forget about the PlayStation Portal. No one's mentioned that here, but that's another. Just add that to the list.
No. Don't nobody buy that. Nobody buy that. That's bad.
Nobody support that product.
On Black Friday, they'll probably run another sale. You can get the Backbone One like phone controller for $70, which is $130 cheaper than the Portal, and play.
Or you can literally
remote
just
play on your phone.
PlayStation Remote Play to your Steam Deck.
Yes,
the problem
you can do that
is,
too. It's a little bit more
PlayStation
complicated
Remote
to set
Play
up.
is bad. It's bad, and for them to put out a device that only supports that when it's not actually the streaming quality isn't actually that good,
and they didn't make it like
I thought
a Wi-Fi direct like kind of connection or anything like that. It's still doing like the just regular TCP over your Wi-Fi. There's like a way with Wi-Fi to like allow two things to have a direct connection and no lag by going through the router. And they didn't even do that with the portal, which is a strange choice considering they control both hardware.
You're saying I
had my
should
fingers
return mine?
crossed that they would update their streaming stuff when the portal came out. I thought like truly they're not going to put out this product and it's going to be the same lame ass like remote play that they've always had, and they didn't touch it. I was hoping that like, oh, it's going to get better, so it'll be better on my Steam Deck. But no, it's the same bullshit. So I'm not. That's a bad purchase. Nobody bet it.
$200.
All right, I'll go ahead and I'll return mine this weekend. Brad, why don't you go next?
You didn't actually buy one, right?
I didn't actually. Of course not. What do you think I'm stupid? I'm buying an OLED.
Yeah.
I'm buying a $400 more expensive piece of hardware that I don't need.
That's actually something I'm probably doing.
Well,
but anyways, Brad.
No, yeah, I mean. Oh wait, what's that?
Your
4-player minute?
final thought? Yeah, final thought.
Did I talk about last time? I'm sort of like forgetting when I was last talking about things on this podcast. But did I talk about my regret of making Henry a Nintendo boy?
I think you might have. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
What have you done?
Okay, well,
I mean, go ahead and reiterate if you want.
Oh, well, I mean, now I've actually made a purchase. He wanted a Mario Party game.
Ooh.
Oh no.
There's 2 of them on Switch and they're both still full price. Even the really older, I mean, the one that came out like first year of the Switch. And I'm like, fuck, man. Should have just gave this fucker a PSP, you know? I feel real dumb making this person care about Mario. I don't know. I feel it feels bad. The other thing though that I wanted to say is, so I went to my parents for Thanksgiving, and my brothers and their families were there, and my niece was there, and she's out, and she's, I don't know, was she like fucking 21 or something? She was there playing her Switch, and I've always been like the uncle that knows his video games, right? Even the young people, I know what the young people are playing or whatever. And like I was looking at her, it seemed like she's got like fucking, she's got Hades on there. She knows what she's doing, right? Cool games. She's got a fucking Last of Us tattoo on her. She's got the Ellie tattoo. She's, but again, it's always been like she likes her certain things. But I'm me, right? I know everything. And she was playing a puzzle game.
You've never heard of.
What is this bullshit? I don't know what you're playing. Would you just download some random bullshit? And that's what I thought. And I found out today or the other day that like, no,
is it 10th
that's
Century?
like a super popular game, and I'm the one who doesn't know what's going on. It was this puzzle game where you make a watermelon or something. I don't know. It's like super popular.
The future is now.
It's just some bullshit, that's only a few dollars off the store. So I thought it was just some random bullshit.
Well, guys, don't forget about the blood pact we made back in 2008.
I'm the one who has no idea.
We said the moment Brad is shown up by the younger generation about video games. That's when we throw in the towel.
I didn't sign this. It felt bad. Because I was like, what is this bullshit? Go play Hades. But apparently I didn't know what I was talking about. And let me tell you, that's not a feeling I usually have.
Grandpa.
Yeah, Suika. It's called Suika. Yeah, that's what she was playing. And I was like, what is this shit? Download Tetris Effect or something. But no, I really was like out of touch and uninformed, and it didn't feel good. So now I guess I should go download this watermelon game because everybody's playing it but me, I suppose. That happens sometimes with like multiplayer games, but like even then I'm like super aware. It's just not the shit I play.
It's $3, Brad.
Lethal Company or whatever, right?
Gleeger in chat says it's only $3.
Is this like threes, but for
but with fruit.
With fruit?
Yeah, I saw my brother playing, and I'm like, why is my brother playing his daughter's Switch stupid fruit puzzle game? What is this crap they're playing? But nope, it was me. That's all. That's my 4-player minute.
Dang, good one.
Bad.
All right, Crispy, why don't you go next?
Okay, since last we spoke, I finally finished Armored Core 6.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Got all 3 endings. I got the achievement for the Aliak Dest, whatever. And I got the achievement that says, you have completed every mission. Did all the arena missions.
Bad game,
patches, though. I mean, do
Yeah.
you even really play Armored Core if it's
Shut the
been
fuck
patched?
up. I beat Balteus before the patch.
I did too.
Okay, I'm a pre-patcher. Balteus.
And the spider. I beat the
was
spider
too.
before patch.
So you can all go the fuck yourselves. Yeah, man. It's a really good game. And I was thinking about it, like, because, you know, I'm sitting here playing it. I'm thinking, like, wow, this is incredible. This is a reinvention of a stale series. This is a brand new direction for this game. Like, maybe now people will take Armored Core seriously. And I've thought about, like, former conversations we've had about this, Brad specifically. And your position that, like, well, it's good, but it's Armored Core, right?
Well, it wasn't
it's-
Elden Ring with mechs, but yeah.
Sure, but I mean that was never what we were actually discussing because I never thought it was going to be that. I never said
I
it
think
was
the
going to be
expectation
that.
for a lot of people
No,
outside
but,
of this.
like, very quickly
Yeah.
that like
Or no,
before the first, like, gameplay shit was coming. But
No, okay.
but anyways, the
Sekiro
point
with
is
mechs,
the
but yeah.
point is, Sekiro, whatever. The point is that, like, I came to a realization where I was like, I don't know, man, maybe I've always been an Armored Core guy.
Yeah,
Maybe he was right. Maybe it was me. Maybe I just maybe they didn't change Armored Core to the point where I could play it. Maybe I just finally came home, you know?
This is what I was saying. You could have been playing Armored
Like-
Core games the whole time, but you were playing bad Gundam games. You were always there.
Last time I tried to play
Damn, shots
an Armored
fired.
Core game before this one, though, I didn't enjoy it. But, you know, maybe I wasn't mature enough. Maybe I wasn't ready to
I mean,
receive it,
I
you
played
know?
my fair share of Armored Core games. They're tough. They're friction. There's a lot of friction there.
But the point is, I finished this game, 80 hours I put into it, and boy, it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool.
Pretty
I agree.
cute.
Can I
Really
ask you a quick
enjoy
question?
it. Yeah.
Can I ask you a quick question? Did you finish Baldur's Gate 3?
No.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
don't
really
don't-
close. No,
Brad,
I'm literally
No,
like,
we're not
I'm
gonna get into
literally
that.
like,
We're not gonna get
like,
into that. No, I get it. I get it. It's overwhelming when you get to the city and all the stuff around
oh,
it.
I've done everything in the city. Like, I've got like 2 things left to do.
I gotcha. I just want to say, because I haven't really been able to talk to anybody. I mean, Chris Davis beat it the day after it came out, and Nick will never get to what I'm talking about. But now that I'm in the city, like the moments that is happening with Orin is like the coolest shit.
Dude, I fucking
The
hate Orin
coolest
so
shit.
goddamn much every time she shows up. I've played actual D&D games where, like, villains show up and like you just kind of naturally develop this familiar antagonistic relationship of, like, this fucking guy again. Like, I've never really had that in a video game except for Baldur's Gate, and it's
Oh
with
my
Orin.
God.
It's like every time someone starts saying something kind of like out of
I'm
pocket, and you're
paranoid.
like, is this Orin? And then it turns into Orin. You're like, fuck you, you
Easy,
fucking
easy.
psycho
Nick's gonna finish
bitch.
this
Like,
And can I
hate
ask
her
Ed,
so much.
what is going on with you in Baldur's Gate?
I haven't even gotten the Goblin Camp yet in Act 1.
Okay.
So, not good. Not good, y'all.
All right.
Not in a good place.
Boy,
Solidarity.
wait till you get to the Hobgoblin camp.
It is
Solidarity with
it is
you,
a
Ed.
commitment that is really hard to commit to.
Yes,
It's daunting.
but don't let Brad bully you. Take your time. It's a game
Oh
that
no, I was
deserves your
perfectly
time.
happy letting Brad
Best
bully
video
you and keep the heat off of me.
To playing the best video game.
Okay, Chris Davis, it's your turn.
It's overwhelming.
Well, I'm gonna split mine into a hype and a fuck you. My fuck you this week goes to Embracer, because it came out today that they are indeed shutting down Free Radical.
Yep.
Right which
before
means
Christmas.
they're shutting them out effective December 11th, and that's just fucking shitty to do.
It's
Just
also not
shutting them down.
surprising at all,
Shitting is
unfortunately.
shutting them down is shitty in the first place, but doing it in the middle of the holidays, like, fuck you. Like, God,
Biggest difference.
fuck them.
It is awful. Yeah.
Yeah. But to my hype goes to the cinematic event of the year, Godzilla -1, which comes out here in America tomorrow. Very excited. It is playing at the Draft House, and I am going to go see it at least once. And I would like to formally invite anyone here to come with me.
Actually, Chris Davis, I might take you up
Can't.
on. Robin's going out of town for like a week, and I was thinking about going to see it.
Really?
Well,
Is,
I mean, I was going to go to the Draft House, and I was looking for something that blew my skirt up, so to speak, and that was the closest thing I think right now that. that I could
She's
find.
going out of town for a week.
Yeah, she's going to visit her family.
Don't say it, Brad. Control
And
yourself.
you have no
Control
children,
yourself.
right? You have no children?
Yeah,
Control.
correct. No children.
Hmm.
Don't worry, Brad. I'm going to be
Good
gaming a lot.
Redfall time, maybe.
No. It's going to be great Cyberpunk time, and among other things. So.
Yeah. Also,
I don't know how to engage with Baldur's Gate, by the way.
What do you mean?
This game has so I'm fine doing the talking and the dice rolls and all that stuff in the combat. Like I'm good. Every time I level up, I am overwhelmed by the number of decisions that I have to make, and then every time all my other characters level up, I'm overwhelmed by the type of decisions.
poor
I've
baby.
never,
I get
Crispy, I have never played D&D. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well,
No,
I mean, the good
can't answer
news.
this because he doesn't look like you. I do, and I get it. It was so bad, especially with the itemization. I will stare at my equipment, and it gets bad. It gets bad. I will like stare at my inventory and my equipment, and I just like think about builds. Like it is paralyzing. It was a real problem with me in Divinity Original Sin 2, and I didn't really talk about it because none of these motherfuckers would understand. But I know you do, and I get it.
I don't know. I
All
don't
I'll
know what
say
like
is
how do
let
I
it
make a
go.
decision on who to talk to with what character?
Just
I feel like
just
I'm
roll
just
a fighter. Like
running blindly.
just
Hey
Yeah,
guys.
what?
Hey guys. Yeah.
yeah. Nick, what's your
No, Nick, this was a very important conversation.
I
that
have to
need
know
have.
what Ed's character is. What character are
Oh
you?
shit. I think I'm
sorry,
What
sorcerer.
class? You're what?
Sorcerer.
Oh, you're the dumb wizard, and you're having a. Okay, never mind.
You can insult me all you want. It's making me want to
I'm
play
saying
this game
sorcerer is
less.
stupid wizard because you don't have to make choices.
Yeah, I know.
But the micromanaging option, the micromanaging you get to do in combat with the options you have, is a lot more tactics.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 3 meta magics you want.
You can cast 2 fireballs.
See,
Yes.
that phrase that just came out of your mouth, Crispy, is like you are another level above me. Where I feel like you just saying that makes
the
me
good
think
news
I'm gonna
is
make
you
the
can
wrong decision.
experience the real D&D by going onto forums and having a complete fucking nervous breakdown, just trying to like read through other people's opinions of what is good and what isn't. That's D&D. That's what D&D is. Okay, it's fucking rules lawyering and looking at the books and arguing with people and not actually playing the fucking game. So I'd say you're getting the most authentic experience from all of us.
Great, love it. Nick, you don't get a 4-player minute. This is
Chris Davis, do you have anything else to say in closing on your?
I just wanted to say it has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Out of how many reviews?
What is-
23.
What does?
Godzilla
not out
-1.
yet.
Is Godzilla -1 that Oppenheimer spinoff?
Nick, go.
Nick,
My
it's your
4-player
turn.
minute. My
Basically.
4-player minute starts now. I just want to say, I'm over here still playing Starfield, and
Baby game. Baby
know,
game.
I'm not saying it's gonna like blow past all the other games, amazing games that come out this year and become my #1 game of the year or anything. It's definitely not gonna do that. But hey
But-
man, I'm having a really great time with Starfield. I don't know what else to say. And I don't even know what it is because yes, I hate fast traveling. I hate it. I don't know what, but like when you think about it, there's no other. When you think about a game that's set in an entire fucking universe, there's really no other option. You're gonna fast travel. When you're literally right in front of a planet, you can't just fly down to the surface. It's like not even possible. It's too much ground to realistically cover. and they were going for realism. And you know what? I get it.
Were they though?
But I'm starting to get into like building outposts, and
Really?
I'm overwhelmed, kind of like in the same way
How
I
many
am.
hours have you put into it?
About
Sounds like a lot.
35 or so. And like I'm having kind of the same experience I am with Cyberpunk, where like when I level up, I go into the menu and I stare at it like, oh my god, I want all of these, but I can only pick one, and it's like that's the kind of like gives me, I don't know, I dig it.
Just
So
say you
I don't know.
like your
Look,
guns.
I get it. I get why a lot of people are just not into Starfield, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, but how about that NASA punk aesthetic?
Okay, first of all, I feel like a lot of people are just turning on the game because somebody decided to try and coin a new phrase, NASA punk, and they hate
I don't
it.
think that's their problem, but
I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
Crispy doesn't like
That's
it.
my problem.
I love kind of the NASA aesthetic, like the kind of like real the real
Interstellar
world
vibe.
Semi-grounded.
interstellar vibe of it. Like I like that vibe a lot. I think it's just it's a style that is wildly untapped in video games, and I think it works really well here. And I'm genuinely kind of interested in kind of the through line mystery of the story. I enjoy the combat a lot. I don't
Nick,
know,
I just-
man.
I want
I'm
to
digging it.
apologize to you. When I
Screw it.
laugh when you mention Starfield, it has nothing to do with that fucking game. I think it's fine. I think a ton of people love
It's
Starfield.
because of Baldur's Gate.
No, it's not because of Baldur's Gate either. It's because like it's just funny in our community. It seems like everybody hates that game or whatever, or just thinks it's mid. In that whatever that whether it's real or not, it's a little funny. And you're always the person who's like, "Man, they're gonna get so mad at me for liking something." So it's funny when I hear you say, "I actually like Starfield." We always expected you to like Starfield. Hell, a lot of people like Starfield. It's just funny that in this year you're hanging on to Starfield. I just hope you get through it, because I think it would feel terrible for you to just like, 55 hours in realize suddenly that, dude, this is fucking boring. What did I do? And I hope
definitely
that doesn't
don't.
happen
I
because
have
I know
not
that has
had.
happened with some people.
I'm just saying, and anything could happen, but I am, like I said, about 35, 36 hours into it, and I have not once sat and gone, I'm really bored. I
Okay.
That's
have
good, dude. That's fucking
every
good.
weekend, like,
Dude, as long as
like
you're not wasting your time out of like some misplaced sense of pride or something.
I'm
like-
playing this game because like my Saturday and Sunday mornings typically are like coffee and gaming time. Like that's kind of what Robin and I do when we get up on the weekends, and I have
I'm not on the couch together.
Do you guys
No.
drink coffee in separate rooms too?
sometimes, yeah.
Wait. He's not joking. Y'all really do game time separate? Like your routine when you wake up is separate game time?
Yeah, she goes and plays her
Yeah.
Switch. She's playing Dave the Diver right now. She's like balls deep in Dave the Diver.
I thought for sure she was watching you
Wait,
play
so you're
Starfield.
saying she's up to her balls?
Okay, in this conversation, are y'all watching Taskmaster together?
Yeah, what the
not
hell?
not yet. Although we did watch that clip together that y'all sent us, and we were both laughing pretty hard. So we haven't been watching a lot of TV lately. But
Instincts.
I think we're both very interested in.
You know what
in
one of my
watching
favorite
it.
tests are? The one in.
Okay, wait. Just let me wrap this show up so we can have the
Just
conversation.
say bye. Just say bye, Nick.
Bye.
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 God
Hey, Ed,
damn
thanks for
it.
being on the show. Let's have you again here soon.
We'll see you next year, Ed.
Yeah.
I mean that's
Okay, can I talk now?
Simple. Oh my god, I hate you, everybody.
Wait, no, I thought you ended this.
And fading out.
I'm literally faded out with.